I really can't handle this. The stock market is doing good. You see Pisco is on Tim Pool today? Pisco is on Tim Pool, bro. It's crazy. That's crazy. Bob Woodward worries about Trump's America. I wonder why he worries about Trump's America. That's insane. MAGA clown gets wrecked. MAGA clown got wrecked. Elon Musk gives weird answers. What did Marco Rubio do?
Things are getting very ugly inside Camp Trump. The MAGA ship has sprung a leak, and Marco Rubio just threw fellow Trump ally Mike Walz overboard to go and patch the hole. Let me explain what's going on here. Marco Rubio is looking very much like...
Do you think we'll have a real democracy again? Probably not. If I had to guess, like, we need to fix what's happening right now within the next 2 years. Or we're pretty much done. Because AI, massive surveillance state, 1984-like conditions. Like, there's a very small chance we get out of this. We're going to live in some kind of, like... We're going to be similar to China if we keep going down this road. Which is ironic, obviously. Because I'm sure Trumpers don't think they're like China. But they do love China. Because they want the same policies. They want the same policies, bro. They want the same policies. Said hi.
Like a man who very much doesn't want to be associated with the dumbest national security breach of the year, or maybe the decade. The Signal chat, where detailed military plans were leaked. Rubio's message is clear.
Do you hate America? Well, that's a question that a really dumb person would ask. Yeah, dude.
I just have one question. Call me back, 913-304-9786.
Whoops.
Hey, this is in Florida, and my dad...
Oh, this is guy from the other night.
What's up, Jolah? This is Genji. I was just thinking about, like, educating more of what, defining of what Mussolini and Hitler was. I know you don't like Hitler, but Hitler is all the way to the right, and Mussolini was all the way to the left, and then they became best buds, you know.
It's crystal clear here.
No, Mussolini...
It's never good to be all the way to the right or...
Mussolini was not to the left. Mussolini was very far to the right, just like Hitler was. They had similar motivations. You could say Stalin was far to the left, but, you know, Mussolini was far to the right. They were both fascists. You could say Mussolini was more of a hardcore fascist, and Hitler was more of like a state command nationalist. I don't know. They're both the same thing. It's really... Yeah, no, I don't know. Who said Mussolini's on the left? Who said that? Yeah, that one number called in. I know. Thank you. Who's... Okay.
Hi, this is Jenny. I wanted to talk about the American dream and how it's like, we just don't have time to hang out with anybody anymore. We just...
Wow, the YouTube Shorts is killing me.
Try to educate our kids. Try to do everything, but we just...
The YouTube Shorts are killing me. We have 11 viewers and 11 likes. It's not being shared in the algorithm at all. Kind of crazy. Elon's X merger? Wait, X and what? Wait. What is... I don't know. I don't know what you mean. X merger? XAI has acquired X in deal? Isn't XAI... Wait, I'm confused, though. What does merging XAI with X have to do that's super important? I don't understand how they're I mean, it's obvious they were already using it for this purpose. For like combining and taking data from people. Yeah. I mean, X is dying as a company, so it might be to save X. But I'm not really surprised about this. Does it change anything? It's not like he wasn't already doing this. I don't really know what else he'd be doing. Yeah. Wow, 16 viewers and 14 likes on the shorts. YouTube is throttling you, in my honest opinion. True. That actually is happening. It is what it is. Because the fact we have 15 viewers on shorts and 14 likes is insane. Because like shorts should be spreading to more people, but it's all people watching nonstop. And there's no discovery right now. So there's no way I can get any callers if they don't let me share on the algorithm. But I'm not really sure. There you go, 20 concurrent viewers. So we can go up a little bit. I have to get more likes. 21. But like I said before, like it's really wild. What's going on here? That's whatever. Why is my YouTube app all messed up? I don't get it. I updated my iPhone. My iPhone sucks now.
A big mistake. And of course, we all know that the someone is Mike Walz. This is Rubio starting with the friendly fire civil war because he wants to be out of the way when the other shoe drops. Take a look.
First question, let me just say on the signal thing. This thing was set up for purposes of coordinating how everyone was going to call. You know, when these things happen, I need to call foreign ministers, especially of our close allies. We need to notify members of Congress. Other members of the team have different people they need to notify as well. And that was the purpose of why it was set up. Obviously, someone made a mistake. Someone made a big mistake and added a journalist. Nothing against journalists, but you ain't supposed to be on that thing. So they got on there and this happened.
Someone.
I love how they keep on describing it like it's some like I don't know, like it's a normal event that you would know by yourself, like personally you would experience going through what they just did. Like you understand this, right? You just like add random people by accident. It happens all the time.
We are currently experiencing the estimated hold time is greater than 120 minutes. We are currently experiencing high call volumes and all agents are busy assisting.
So the Social Security lines, who is this? Representative Don Beyer for Social Security. They're cutting people from Social Security, claiming their waste, fraud, and abuse. They're killing the agency by cutting all the workers. People are not getting payments, so they're calling the lines that are now understaffed. And I guess the wait times are like hours and hours and hours. And this is intentional. It's very intentional because they want people to hate Social Security. They want to kill it and make it dysfunctional so that people are in favor of privatizing it. That's the entire goal of this administration. Doge is trying to destroy government. They're not doing good things for us. They're trying to destroy government.
The estimated hold time
the good parts
is
of
greater
it.
than 120 minutes. We are currently experiencing high call volumes and all agents are busy assisting other callers right now. Your call is important to us. Please call back later. Wait times to speak to a representative are typically shorter later in the month and Wednesdays through Fridays. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
How is it different from XAI? How is that different from Grok? What is the difference between both of those?
Okay, so the wait time was more than 120 minutes. They asked me to call back and then just hung up. So I guess if I'd wanted to wait the 120 minutes, it would not have been possible because they just hung up.
Grok is developed by XAI. It's just a merger. I just don't know what the mergers tying their face together. Like tying their face together are interesting. So they're gonna survive or die together, but I don't know.
This is a Wednesday. They did mention that call times were shorter on Wednesday through Friday, but I guess they didn't
phone
make
line
ringing today. If I actually didn't have a problem with Social Security today, but if I did, and representing all the people who do have problems, it's very concerning about what's happening there right now.
I forget that all the politicians are getting Social Security, like, because they're all old. I forgot they're getting payments as we watch all this kind of stuff. It's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I have to change my title. Let me see. Let me try changing my title up. Okay, debating all Trump supporters. It says live debates. Let's see. I put debating Trump supporters. Then I put like Joe Rogan is dumb. Joe Rogan is dumb. And then also, Asmongold. That's another name, right? Asmongold bad. I'll put their names on there too. Oh wait, there's more people joining now. Don't need to prove you wrong. Do you know why? Because he's your president, whether you're right or wrong. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Joe Rogan is dumb. Very true. He is dumb. He's very dumb. It is a true statement. I need a picture of Trump on the screen. That'll help. That will always help. So like this will help, yeah. I hate AI, bro. It makes me want to rip my skin off. Holy crap. It is a good picture, honestly. It is a great picture. And his neck is realistic. Like if Trump, I don't know. I think it looks good in this. Why is Trump dumb? Every single part of his presidency so far has been an overwhelming failure. Overwhelming failure. Hegseth is a Russian asset. Well, the title's helping a little bit. Here. Hegseth. Pete Hegseth? Russian? Question mark? JD Vance in Greenland. Here you go. Trying everything we got for real. What neck? That is a good statement right there. Good little statement. There you go. Hey, you know what they say? You don't got any callers. What are you gonna do? You just gotta give up at some point.
Signs for President Trump about the real-world impact of his shock and awe, move fast, and break things, politics, and policies. Just moments ago, U.S. stocks closing deep in the red.
Why is Joe Rogan dumb? Because he is literally a Trump bootlicker. He supports everything Elon Musk tells him to support. Joe Rogan is also anti-polio vaccine. He is an extremely bad person, like extremely bad.
Months ago, U.S. stocks closing deep in the red, off to the worst start of the year since 2020, as inflation and Trump's trade war leave investors freaked out and consumers low on confidence, according to a new report out today. As we come on the air,
That's good. Consumer confidence being low is a good thing. If you think it's a bad thing, then you're a lib. You're a lib. Trump doesn't know anything about the American soldiers that were killed or dead or whatever. Why? Okay, what happened with the NATO? What happened with NATO? It was interesting too.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over. What exactly the United States does next is unclear. But what is clear is that we, as Canadians, have agency. We have power. We are masters in our own home. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away. We can deal with this crisis best by building our strength right here at home. It will take hard work. It will take steady and focused determination from...
Call from...
Randy.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going all right. How are you?
Not too bad. So the first question I wanted to ask you is, well, first I wanted to say I'm not a Trump supporter. I actually voted for Kamala. But, anyways, I was wondering, what did you think about the whole BlackRock Panama Canal deal?
I think everything Trump does right now is to tear things apart so private companies like BlackRock can buy everything up everywhere. So like if he's going to talk about Panama is going to be for BlackRock. If he talks to Greenland, Peter Thiel, another billionaire that paid for JD Vance's entire career, they want Greenland to build a cryptocurrency, like weird nation state, corporate, like a company, country, or whatever. Greenland is a big pipe dream for them. So Trump doing Greenland is also by request of them as well. So yeah, everything you could do, everything Trump does is either tearing things apart so big money can take control of it and profit off it, or it's just for a distraction, to distract from something else he's trying to do that's bad for people.
Okay, so just in light of the Panama Canal deal, do you think that potentially makes America stronger and makes China weaker at all?
I don't really know. It's hard to really say. There was not really an existing issue there. Trump kind of made that issue up. And if he's going to say like there's too much private investment from a company there, then I guess you can say you can have more U.S. investment. But there was no like direct issue that any of our foreign policy advisors would ever bring up in any reports. So it seems like a manufactured problem. And Trump said they were taken over by Chinese soldiers. That was never really proven. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, the Chinese soldiers, that sounds crazy. I would agree. But isn't it true that China owns a significant amount of agricultural land in America?
Let's see. What percent of agricultural land does China own in America? Wow, I cannot type. Let's see. Let's see what percentage this is. I'm trying to find the actual percentage. What percentage of agriculture does China own in America? There is a place where you can find these numbers at. Just give me 1 second, because I actually forget what the actual name is, or what the actual stats are here. I'll try to find it. It's a very, very, very small percentage. It's well under 1% of total U.S. farmland. It's probably close to 0.1% or 0.5% of U.S. farmland. So I mean, in terms of foreign investment, it's also very small. Like Canada and other countries own much more than China does. The thing they're worried about with China is buying farms located next to military bases. But they don't own, as far as the food supply is concerned, they really don't own that much land. But it's more where the land is located that they do own.
Interesting. That may be true. I haven't dived deep into any of these things, but from what I heard, it was more so about food supply and potentially, making an attack on America through the food supply, whatever. But just even in theory, right? If China is going all around the world and buying up important things or making investments with countries and removing Western influence, don't you think that would be at least somewhat of a national security threat or just a threat to an American interest? For example, what they're doing in Africa, all of BRICS, what they're doing in Africa, they're ripping the West out of Africa.
Yeah, and that's why killing USAID and all these organizations that do foreign aid and foreign development is a big win for China. China's very happy we're doing that. All the NGOs they talk about, the NGOs are actually pretty anti-China. China also wants to kill the NGOs that they're making conspiracies about. Most NGOs are free media that goes to authoritarian countries. So the only chance for some Chinese people or Russian people to see any type of free press is from NGOs. Doing actual reporting, and they probably don't even see it, but actual reporting in these countries, so they can't just lie to the entire world to a higher extent. So China's very happy we're pulling back USAID, and also with all these trade wars and tariff wars, we're directing countries to work with China more and with the U.S. less. Yeah. So everything Trump is doing right now is killing the U.S. on the global stage. We're fighting Canada and Europe, and we want to make deals with Russia and China. So yeah, everything Trump is doing right now, I would say is
NATO is kind of pushing the Western world, the rest of the Western world away from America, which those things are kind of weird. I don't really understand. I mean, like I said, I'm not a Trump supporter, but when it came to the Panama Canal, I just think of the significance of those ports You know, I mean, it connects the world in reality. Without it, the East and West would be separated. But it's even good, you know, for our military ships or whatever. It's a faster way. I don't know if they actually use that route to get to Japan or Taiwan, but in my mind, if they're coming from, you know, the East Coast or anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico, it would be faster to get there through the Panama Canal. And if the claim was is that America was they were being overcharged in things, and that they were going to get the treaty even having a company from China run it, because what does make sense, right, is if China is mostly communist, then they have control over those companies. There's always been a lot of rumors about, you know, like the Alibaba guy. At some point, he didn't do something that the Chinese government wanted him to do, and he disappeared and was never seen again, right? And just even some people talk about some of the laws that actually CNN reports that just like some people think Trump could be a Russian asset, some people think that Elon could be a Chinese asset. Now, I'm actually a fan of Elon Musk, not so much Trump, but I also believe that it's possible that Elon Musk could be somewhat compromised for the simple fact that he's doing business in China. And if there really is a law there that every company has to release any information on other countries, basically, you know, doing espionage for China, you know, if that law is really real, then that seems like a significant threat. But if China has that law in general, it would make sense for us to not want China to have control over any part of the Panama Canal, in my mind. And so if he's like just dangerously trying to win control over stuff for private companies, I get it. But, you know, democracy and capitalism is about letting people have control rather than having the government have control. So I could see a private company buying the asset and at least having some influence from America, but America not actually having control over the asset or the company, right? In my mind, that sounds like it would actually be beneficial to America. And me personally, I just try to be non-biased, you know, because just like you touched on something last night, just what's going on culturally, where, you know, I mean, they've always, you know, here and there will talk about civil war. And I think even your channel kind of capitalizes off of, you know, the left versus the right idea in America and stuff. But I try not to entertain that too much. But Trump is a complete weirdo, and I think he capitalizes off of that too. But I don't want to say everything he does is wrong, because, I mean, do you think he would genuinely, intentionally destroy America?
Yeah, I don't see why not. He wants to sell it to the highest bidder. Everything is up for sale with Trump. It's been that way his entire life. He was never an honest person. He was always a terrible person. He treated women terribly. He treated children terribly. He treated his own family terribly. He treated America terribly. He treated black people terribly. He treated everyone terribly his entire life. When it actually comes down to it, when it actually matters, he only cares about the rich and the wealthy. So yeah, he would definitely crash America to help his friends profit, which is probably what the tariffs are about. To be honest. And like Elon Musk is also the same way. He doesn't want to help anyone. They are cutting apart the government to sell it to private entities. They want to profit off the government. They want to kill the regulations that regulate, and these are the good regulations they want to kill. They want to keep the bad regulations and kill the good ones that maintain some type of structure to hold corporations accountable, to hold the wealthy accountable. They're removing that. Do you know the Hawk Tuah girl?
Mm-hmm.
Trump's SEC dropped her case because she scammed people with the crypto coin. They dropped her case because corruption is legal with Trump's government. Corruption is legal now, and Trump has his own meme coin that he's screwing over his followers with. Yeah, they want to sell everything. They have no principles. They don't give a shit about America. They don't give a shit about any of this. Like, everything Trump is doing right now is objectively bad. He has not done one thing this presidency. You could say last presidency there were a couple things that were decent, but like this presidency, he has not done one thing good, unless if you just want to see brown people like carried away in handcuffs. If you want to laugh at brown people put in jails in El Salvador, that's the only thing he's done for people.
I mean, even that, like, I'm not really huge on America's policies with immigration. I think America was built on immigration, but I think it has to be in moderation because it does have a cost to it. And I think that they should just do it in a certain way, but
well, he's deporting legal. He's deporting legal people who are seeking legal asylum through the right way. He's selling them into slavery, essentially. He sold a guy with an autism awareness tattoo. They said an autism awareness tattoo was a gang tattoo and sent him to El Salvador forced labor prison. They took a guy with a Real Madrid soccer tattoo and put him in forced labor prison. So they don't give a shit at all. They just want to have brown people on camera so all the Trump supporters laugh at them. That's the entire goal. It's about just putting people through pain. It doesn't matter if they're gang members or not. They could be gang members. They could not be gang members. MAGA will laugh and point the same way. And that's what Trump is capitalizing off of, is the dehumanization we have of each other. And I really want to move away from that kind of politics.
Right.
Like,
so
if there's a problem, take care of it,
Do you think it's a lie that they're only taking away illegal immigrants that are either criminals or they were caught with criminals and also illegal immigrants?
Oh yeah, that's verified now. There's hundreds of people. They're going after college students on visas for what they've said. Anti-American or anti-Israel or pro-Palestinian statements. They're saying it's pro-terrorism when they just say they support Palestinians being able to be safe in Gaza or whatever. It's an opinion you can have, and the First Amendment's being violated by this administration terribly. And our resources, they have quotas for ICE. So they're going after permanent residents. They're going after green card holders. They're going after legal asylum seekers. And they have quotas for ICE. And when you never want quotas in law enforcement. You never want quotas in law enforcement. You should get the damn job done. That should be the entire goal. But right now they have quotas so they can have enough brown people to put on camera to say, hey, we're getting all them out of the country. They're running out of the gang members. They're running out of the violent criminals to deport because immigrants have a very low crime rate. They have a lower crime rate by far than American citizens. Naturally born American citizens. Immigrants have a far lower crime rate. So they have to make up stories, make up conflict. They want us to feel like we're at a nonstop war. So we feel like we need to fight our neighbors and fight each other. That's the only way these weak assholes can survive, is if they have us fighting each other while they rip everything apart and sell it off to the highest bidder. And Trump is considering declaring martial law in America with the Insurrection Act, to put the military in the streets to find the so-called illegal aliens. And we already know they're sending innocent people to El Salvador prisons. Yeah, he wants to do the Alien Enemies Act, which allows for extrajudicial removal of speech you don't like and people in America that you just don't like, regardless if they're legal or not. And they want to use the Insurrection Act to allow the American military to crack down in our neighborhoods, which is freaking insane. We're not in the middle of a freaking war. Even if we were, that would not be justified. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those things I would kind of have to verify because even, I haven't tapped in too much to what he was doing as far as deportation, and I don't think it's as big of a story anymore. So it's probably why I haven't seen so many things, because I just see little things on, from CNN and MSNBC, and I watch other news stuff too. Because even though I see a lot of stuff that both sides say, even on Fox and other stuff where it's like full of shit. But I try to watch, I even watch Al Jazeera and stuff to just try to, hear what everybody's saying and stuff, because I don't really trust them all. But I kind of have to verify a lot of that stuff. I could kind of see somebody getting deported because of a tattoo if they were actually illegal, because I know that a lot of American gangs, they actually do use different sports teams and logos and stuff like that.
Well, look up the cases. Look up, so the professional, it's a professional soccer player who helped coach soccer. He was tortured with electric shock in Venezuela and escaped to America.
Wow.
And then he was kidnapped in America and sent to an El Salvador forced labor prison. Look up him and look up the guy with the autism awareness tattoo. They even cleared this guy, by the way. The agents cleared him. They said he was fine. They said it was not a gang tattoo. They still sent his ass over to El Salvador because they don't give a shit about people at all, or humans in general. And they're coming in. These are people through the legal ports of entry that came in seeking asylum. the so-called right way, but it's clear they just don't like all asylum seekers. I definitely looked those cases up. There's a barber that was sent over there, a gay person who fled Venezuela, who was also under persecution from the government, and there was like a tattoo artist as well who had a court date the next day to prove that the tattoos were not gang affiliated, because some people just have a lot of tattoos. But the big thing too is that right now they're going through communities and they're taking people who they say look like gang members. So, you know, in Chicago, there was an American citizen looking for jobs with his resume going in and out of businesses. I think he was walking out of Jiffy Lube or whatever. And they pull up and they say, hey, we're going to detain you. They detained an American citizen. They wouldn't let him present who he is or present any documents. They just said, you're a brown person who looks like you could be a gang member. And they detained him with no process, no warrant, no cause for arrest at all. And this is what happens if you have no due process for illegal aliens or for asylum seekers or for whoever. If you don't have a legal process, you could just say that guy looks like a criminal, put him in a van, ship him to El Salvador. And that's why this country guarantees these different processes for every person. Nothing should be done without going through some type of process, because if we lose rights for anyone, we lose rights for all of us, including non-citizens. If they lose all of their rights, we lose our rights. It's the same amount of illegal to do what they're doing to them as it would be to do to us.
But is that part 100% true? Because it sounds like what you're saying is that the Republicans are essentially using the political tool that was created, racism, to essentially gain influence over its people that, you know, are easily convinced that this person is bad because they look a certain way.
I mean, he launched his campaign saying that Mexicans were rapists. And I assume some might be good people. So, yeah, I mean, he does weaponize that. And he knows that his supporter base will have less sympathy for someone who's not speaking the same language or not looking the same or not having the same skin color.
But he could be doing that. And his rhetoric has sounded that way for years and years. But that's inherently American to do historically, right? But it's the part that if a group of people lose rights, then we all lose rights. I wonder if that's true, because the gap of privilege and justice and rights has always been there, you know, sometimes wider than others, you know. So I kind of, you know, like, say, for instance, mass incarceration, how does that negatively impact the average white person, you know?
Because, like, in the 60s and 70s, any white person that was protesting with black people, they were also called race traitors and thrown in jail. Like, they were called race traitors. And, like, you know, if you stand for a cause the government does not approve of, we want to avoid that. We want to make sure the government protects or doesn't, you know, does not infringe upon things like speech just for opinions you disagree with. It's a really high bar. But if they're going to be saying, like, okay, there was someone coming here, a researcher from France, I think, who they detained him, stole his phone and his laptop, scanned through it, found a comment on social media disagreeing with Trump's like tariff policy, and they deported this person who was just visiting the U.S., a researcher, and people were saying, like, well, you know, in China they don't let you go to China. You can't go to China or Russia and you know, China and Russia and criticize the government. I'm like, dude, yeah, we're not China and Russia. It's America. That's why we're not China and Russia, because we have these protections. I don't know why these dumbasses want to bring those countries here. I don't know why they think that's a good thing, but they can't handle these tough conversations, so they have to be cradled in daddy's arms so you can rock them to sleep as they're sipping they're getting drunk every day. Like, Jesus, like, have the conversation. This is why we have a country. You have to defend rights for people that you don't like. That's the point of having rights.
Yeah. So, okay, quick question about this thing, kind of about Ukraine. Personally, I don't really like the position that Trump seems to take with Putin. It's like you said, how he is, like, he only likes wealth. He seems to have a great respect, you know, just like over the top respect for successful or powerful men or whatever. And he kind of shits on what he views as less than that or whatever. And even besides that, I just don't think he should, you know, cozy up to Russia like that, because they are our enemy. You know what I mean? They always have been, you know, an adversary to America pretty much, or at least, you know, very competitive with America. But my question is, do you think that the left's policies with Ukraine and Russia are any better?
Yeah, so starting off with Trump, it was 100% proven that Russia wanted Trump to win. They did help him win in 2016. They helped him win every time that he won. And not including the one time that he definitely lost, that he thinks he won. They definitely, and that was proven. When they say the Russia hoax, because they have to say it 3 times, so that's how everyone's like, that's how they trained their mutts that listen to him. But the Russia stuff, it was proven that Russia helped Trump win. It was not proven that there was collusion, that the campaign actively communicated with Russia and coordinated with Russia to send disinformation to certain areas in the country. So that's a big thing to remember from the start. Russia knew Trump. Russia knew Trump was going to be in their interest. Russia's economy was collapsing, but Trump is here to save the day. Like, him becoming president again is really helping them. It's helping boost Russia now. But yeah, when it comes to the Ukraine policy, I think the Democrats are 100% better. Trump is having the same policy towards Ukraine that we had towards Nazi Germany, and like Poland and Czechoslovakia, which is like, we should appease them, we should appease Russia, give them the land, but probably even worse, to be honest. And right now we're demanding Ukraine gives us 100% of their economy, pretty much, like pretty much everything they have. We want to extort them and colonialize their entire country. So what Trump is doing right now is insanely terrible. Like, it's worse than we handled the rise of Nazi Germany. Giving all this appeasement, and then like, and just in general, Americans right now, if you take every American and you look at the progressive taxation system and income taxes and where we get money from as a country, and we know rich people pay most of the taxes. If we take every American and split the Ukraine funding equally, then over the past like 3 years, each American probably sent Ukraine like 8 large pizzas or 9 large pizzas. If you take it with the progressive taxation system, if you make like $50,000 a year, or $60,000 a year, or 40,000 or 30,000 or even 100,000, you probably sent Ukraine like 2 large pizzas in the past 2 years, like $40. So like, acting like the funding we sent Ukraine crippled us or crippled our troops, it's not true at all. It did not hurt anything in America. If things are not solved in America, it's because Americans are not pushing for them to be solved. I hate the idea, let's bring the money and use it back at home. Well, it's beneficial for us to keep the entire globe stable. And also, like, we're not protected by 2 oceans. I don't know what kind of, like, I don't even know what kind of history you need to study to not know Pearl Harbor happened, to not know our revolution happened. The 2 oceans don't protect our asses. It doesn't protect us. Like, we have such advanced technology today. We're talking about intercontinental missile strikes. We're talking about Russian proxies that want to have nukes to kill U.S. and U.S. allies. We're talking about these drones that are becoming even more impressive, and cyber attacks. If the oceans did not protect us in World War II, they're not protecting us in the year 2025. I don't know why anyone would listen to that argument and be like, yeah, the oceans protect us. But I mean, the point of Trump is he wants people to not think that critically. He wants them to think like, yeah, the oceans are to our sides. We don't even care about Europe. Well, if we don't care about Europe, we don't care about the U.S. Because if Europe goes down, we're going down. There's no way we survive anything like that if we don't support countries like Europe. Or not countries like Europe, but yeah, countries in Europe.
But some people talk about Ukraine, and they go as far as back as I want to say the year 1990, where basically America, like, all the signs points towards that America did their little regime change tactics with the CIA there, and America has just kind of influenced the separation of Ukraine and Russia historically, and they've always pushed for them to be a part of NATO. Do you not think that we have somewhat provoked Russia to feel the need to use aggression towards Ukraine again?
No. So like, we had an agreement with Russia. So the Soviet Union fell apart for a reason, and the Eastern European countries wanted to leave the Soviet Union and get away from Russia because Russia's a brutal dictatorship. They always fall to dictatorship. It's a terrible place to live. I don't know if it's the weather or what, but they always fall to dictatorships and depression. And Ukraine wanted to get away from Russia even more because obviously in Russia you can't even live without supporting the dictator, or you get killed and tortured. There's re-education camps for kids. They steal kids from other countries. They've stolen Ukrainian kids and re-educated them, and like, it's insane. They sell the kids. It's freaking crazy stuff. In the 90s, most of the Soviet Union's nukes were still in Ukraine, and Ukraine had those nukes. And the U.S. and Russia and Ukraine, and I think like a couple other facilitating countries, agreed to denuclearize Ukraine if we supported them and provided aid. And Russia has made multiple deals recognizing NATO expansion in like 1997, and multiple ceasefires and multiple security agreements and multiple trade deals and a bunch of different things Russia has signed on to. And you know, Russia invading Ukraine violates yet another ceasefire that was signed in 2019. So like Russia has violated every single deal. Russia, like these countries are trying to run away from Russia for a reason because they're terrible. It doesn't need to be a USA-backed coup. The revolutions in Eastern European countries, like the Ukrainian Revolution, there were a couple in the 2000s, and they are very, very real. The people there wanted to get away from Russia for a good reason. That's why so many Ukrainians today do not want to go join Russia. And that's why they're fighting so hard, because they know what it means. If we just say, okay, stop the war, we want peace in Ukraine, we want the people to stop dying. Like, the people who are actually fighting this war just want support. Ukraine has asked for nothing but ammunition. And the idea that, like, we can go and have Ukraine defending itself and we could support them in defending themselves. We have the deal we made with them to defend them if they got rid of their nukes. The fact that we have this perfect opportunity that's perfect for humanitarian reasons, that's good for military reasons against Russia, which is one of our biggest historical adversaries. It's good for freedom in general. Like, the NATO arguments make no sense at all. NATO never aggressed upon Russia. Russia has only aggressed upon NATO. And right now, currently, 6 NATO countries border Russia already. So the idea that NATO can't touch Russia's borders or they're going to attack, 6 NATO countries already border Russia. So that's also not really it's a historical argument. Like, we never made any deals with Russia. There was never a deal with Russia to not expand NATO. I know a lot of commentators like Candace Owens repeat that lie. But there was never a deal about that. In fact, Russia, and you can look this up, it was like the NATO expansion talks or whatever in like 1997, where Russia agreed to recognize that NATO would expand. But Putin throws every deal out. They're not trustworthy at all, which is insane. Makes it even more insane why Trump is so willing to trust them with everything.
Interesting. So, but you don't... why do you think it's? I can understand humanitarian things, right, to some degree, a very limited degree, not because I don't agree necessarily, but because just like we talk about, you know, Trump deporting brown people basically because they are brown and he wants to humiliate them and this, that, and the third. We don't necessarily pay the same attention to humanitarian crises in other parts of the world where they affect more brown people. We don't there's other, you know, the Black Holocaust in Africa was much larger than any other Holocaust on the planet, but as a country we don't pay that any mind. We don't acknowledge that, number one, because our country was involved in it. But I kind of wonder, you know, why. See, I can understand a little bit more of. Well, I can't even really understand being on the side of Israel.
Well,
Israel is kind of complete bullshit.
Well, that's actually funny you brought them up. Yeah.
But why do you think it's America's job to drive a wedge between Ukraine and Russia? Like, why, if Russia wants them and historically has had them, or even if they're, you know, somewhat, like, even so, what's the idea that they're going to attack Poland after they take Ukraine? Is that really necessarily true? You know, like,
I don't see why not. We said that about Germany too. That's exactly what we said about Germany when we gave them parts of Czechoslovakia. They said that you know, Czechoslovakia and Poland were ethnically German, just like Russia says Ukraine is ethnically Russian, and that we need to give Nazi Germany parts of these countries, because if we give them these areas they're making arguments for and they want to overpower, then they'll stop pushing. We always do that. Appeasement never works in these situations, and it's not about like us policing the world. In fact, this is us just like basically. That's why I said before, like, we're not risking U.S. troops. All Ukraine needs is support. And fighting for free countries to stay free and international law being a thing keeps the entire globe stable. It keeps the economy stable. It keeps trade stable. It keeps everything more stable in general. And like, I would say it also, just looking at college students, in the 80s, with apartheid South Africa, college students were the ones to push for divestment from South Africa in the same way they're pushing for divestment from Israel today. College students were also the ones leading the Vietnam protests, and many students got gunned down while protesting Vietnam. College students led the civil rights protests. So college students have their finger on the pulse of a lot of things in America, and historically have been very, very right about things. I don't think any and Iraq, I don't think any, or Afghanistan, and we look at what college students have protested. They've been pretty right on a number of, Vietnam. I don't think people like that. Iraq, Afghanistan. I don't think people really like that. Apartheid South Africa. I mean, I know Elon Musk and Trump like that because they want to help support. They want to help support the people that did the apartheid in South Africa today. They actually are really supportive of apartheid, apparently. I think college students have been on the right side of history for all these movements, and we don't give them enough credit for being on the right side. And during all these periods, including the 1960s, college students were there fighting for equal rights, and the same people right now that want to shout us down about freaking Ukraine and about BLM and about DEI, the same people were advocating for MLK to be hung back then. And I know they don't think they have that ideology, but put them back then, they would definitely be advocating for segregated bathrooms and stuff. So just we have to look at where we are today. It's not just what's beneficial for the entire. And I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but because that's a totally different topic. But yeah, with Ukraine. It benefits us to support them because keeping the world more stable, safer, supporting our allies, the entire world's the entire world is connected, and making it clear if you're a country, if you want to violate international law, there's going to be huge pushback globally, and that's how we ended things like apartheid South Africa. Is we started getting enough pressure to divest from them, and they became economically crippled. They had to change. They had no choice.
Yeah. I could kind of see the part where if you violate international law, there's going to be pushback.
I didn't know about this.
And I kind of wonder why.
No, there's a law. It's the Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act. A Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act. Ronald Reagan vetoed it, claiming it would hurt black South Africans and favor constructive engagement. But Congress overrode Reagan. I did not know that Congress overrode Reagan. That's a big move to override a veto. I did not know that happened. That's really interesting. 1986, when Reagan already had dementia. Interesting.
Yeah. I could kind of see where you talk about the world pushing back against a country that's violating international law. But I always kind of wondered, why it seems like the world court is so weak. You know what I mean? Because there's warrants for multiple people, for Putin and for Netanyahu or whatever, however you say his name. But will those ever even come into any type of fruition? Probably not.
Not unless if things go really bad. Like if we had a new world war, then at the end of the world war, then whoever wins punishes the losing side. And that's what happened after with all the trials. After obviously. World War II and holding the Nazi Party accountable and members of the Nazi Party accountable. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because whoever has all the power right now, like America right now, you're not allowed to speak against certain countries, or they're going to jail you apparently, or deport you if you have a green card. And they're setting the stage. They always start off with groups that people don't like. So they're going to take these visa students who are maybe Muslim from wherever, Turkey, maybe their families from Yemen or even Palestine, any country in like the Middle East, anywhere around there. They're going to take these students because they know the general public in the U.S. does not support them. They're Muslim, they're not white. They probably speak multiple languages. They advocate for Palestinians and they're going to say, oh, they're pro-terrorist. And this is how they test it. They test right now. They're testing the American people right now to see if we're going to stand for the basic values of freedom of speech. And they're being proven right so far that not enough Americans are pushing back. And libertarians right now that are not pushing back are insane. They're just proving they're gutless. They have no actual principles. They don't give a shit about freedom in America. And there's a reason they're going after these groups. If they go after American citizens, I guarantee you it's going to be someone who's not white. It's going to be someone who looks like an immigrant. They're going to claim it's not really a citizen, or they're going to be Muslim or whatever. I mean, Trump ran on a Muslim ban. Trump ran on a Muslim ban. He literally ran on dividing us by race. Like Trump ran on dividing us by race, but all supporters want to walk around like, I didn't know that. The Obama made us racist. Like literally Trump ran on racial division. He literally ran on that. He opened with Mexicans rape people, Muslims bomb people. Let's ban them both. Let's get them out of our country. He's not even talking about the wall anymore. You know why Trump doesn't talk about the damn wall anymore? He doesn't talk about the damn wall because the wall would require that dumbass doing something. The wall requires something to actually be built. He stopped talking about the wall because he wants to use executive power because he's not a real leader. He can get any power or influence through Congress. Because if he talks about the wall, they can see his dumbass isn't really building shit. So that's why he doesn't talk about the. Who talks about the wall anymore? No one talks about the damn wall. Apparently, it's not necessary anymore if we have the police state.
That's true. If we have a police state, that's funny. So there was something you said. Well, first off, it has something to do with, like Palestinian students and stuff like that. And I'm kind of drawing a blank because I had an important question or whatever. But, I remember part of it. So you said something about them testing to see if Americans will stand up for the basic, freedom of speech. But if they're really attacking, I mean, everybody accuses everybody of attacking each other for, or attacking Americans, or attacking their rights as Americans, which I think that's inherently American to do. And I think that helps to preserve the rights, even if the rights aren't genuinely being attacked. But just because you said that, right? I wonder, do you really believe that, especially in light that the right, conservatives, Republicans do so much to preserve Americans' rights to bear arms, and they even seek to expand those rights? Like a lot of those gun people's beliefs, they always say, like, they even believe felons should be able to own weapons. And they're not saying just get their rights back, but they don't believe that the rights should ever be infringed upon. So in reality, if you take 1 million men and you said you don't have the right to speak against me, but you do have the right to protect yourself, even with even more dangerous weapons, they want to legalize machine guns, essentially, right?
Well, Trump is for red flag laws. He's for taking guns away. He already was I think Trump advocated for more aggressive authoritarian gun legislation than Biden did, because the red flag laws require no court hearing. It requires no actual process. It requires just the police getting a call that you're gonna be violent to someone else. Like the red flag laws are much more infringing on the Second Amendment, in my opinion, than basic background checks or whatever that some Democrats want. The way it works though is if you this is the crazy part. The people who have most of the guns, the people who have the guns are going to be more conservative. But also, the Second Amendment does not protect us from the police state. We don't have actual militias. We do not have regulated militias. We do
have militias.
But we don't have regulated militias that would stand up to an authoritarian government. They're more likely to join it. That happened in Nazi Germany too. The militias joined Nazi Germany.
That
objectively did happen.
Only means trained.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
The reason why I say that might be
we do not have well-trained. The U.S. military and CIA and all these agencies, all the intelligence apparatuses, whatever the word is for apparatuses, it's not that apparati. I don't even know. But they would there's the Second Amendment is not a threat to power. A threat to power is an educated populace, and that's why they're against education. That's why they don't like education. That's why they're going to silence speech
America
first.
Got their ass kicked in Afghanistan, and it's a lot of people say that people in Afghanistan, a lot of them are kind of dumb, like they don't have many geniuses per se in Afghanistan. But like the military guys, they say they got their asses whooped by dudes running around in flip-flops and towels on their heads.
Well, we learned that lesson in Vietnam too. And all these wars, of course, is going to be really bad. But as far as the U.S. government right now and the Second Amendment being a threat to them being in power, that's not going to happen. The big threats to people are economic. It's sanctions. Trump's putting sanctions on lawyers that disagree with him. It's an entire authoritarian corruption of the government. That's the big threat to American democracy. I feel like we focus on all the we focus on more of the optical stuff with these administrations, but like the legal precedent they're trying to set right now, and the real way Nazi Germany fell, by the way.
So you think gun rights is just an optical situation? You think it's just about visuals?
No, I think it's about people
look
wanting
at
to feel like they have security
right?
in their own hands. I'm not against Second Amendment, by the way, but I just don't think that's the number one deterrent from freedom. Because if you think about it this way, okay, if you have an uneducated population that believes whatever shit they hear on Fox News, who the hell are they going to use those guns against? And people are right, guns don't kill people. But if people believe bullshit, they do kill people. Whether it's through diseases, whether it's through guns. So if you can convince people to take up arms against their neighbors, which is what they're doing successfully, they're much more likely to go to war with their neighbors than they are against the people in power. And that is not going to save anyone, except it's going to cause more division, cause more war, cause more violence. If anything, having guns and thinking guns protect freedom is making us more susceptible to authoritarianism, because no one's really protecting the fundamental values that matter when it comes to protecting freedom. And that is things like due process. That is protecting freedom of speech for people you don't like. That is all these core fundamental things about society that we really need to make sure we protect to really stand for freedom. But everyone in America wants to think, oh, I have my gun, therefore I'm going to stay free. Bro, if they want to get your ass, they're getting your ass, bro. Okay, fight 25 federal agents, bro. I don't even know. Like, I don't know what you think is going to happen. Do you think they're just going to like slide in your house and make a bunch of noise and you're in a Call of Duty game? Like Jesus, what do you think you're going to do, G.I. Joe?
I mean, you have a point if you say that, but that's really besides the point, because it's more so when you talk about the well-regulated militias, or just in general, if there's a mass group of people that go against the American government in theory, I mean, do they have to probably be in some sort of shape and have some level of training? Sure. Now, what I will say about the militias, I don't have a ton of knowledge, but here in my state, Missouri, there is a Missouri militia, and I don't know how well they train, but they even have tier 1 guys training them.
I'm sorry, but they have drones, bro. They have quadcopters with guns on them. They have actual drones that could bomb. They don't even need to come near your house. They have robot dogs that have flamethrowers. Like
they got
we are in RoboCop, bro. We're in RoboCop. Unless if people got EMPs, but all I'm saying is for them to use those, like what matters is freedom of speech. What matters is educated populace. Because if we don't have education, we're going to lead ourselves to a situation where AIs takes over and robots take over, and we don't design a system that really benefits the American people, because we think all that matters is crying about DEI and having our guns on us, and that is not what's going to protect. It's not going to protect freedom. It's just not gonna. And we're advocating for these policies now that sell off our entire government to the ultra wealthy, because they could just tell us to yell at each other and hate each other.
Well, one part about the militias that I do agree with you is I know that at least the recruiters for the Missouri militia, they definitely seem to be big Trump supporters.
Yeah, they would join them. They would join the damn government if they want to go kill the liberals. They would join the government. They would not be fighting against the government. Like, that's why our founding fathers really had it locked down. They had positive freedoms and negative freedoms. They had freedoms from government and freedoms by government. And we all have to participate in that, because if we lead to anarchy or some type of weird police state, like Trump pardoned all the January 6 people. Trump knew what he was doing when he pardoned the January 6 people that beat the shit out of cops. And he wants to give them a compensation fund. He wants to give January 6 people that killed police officers reparations. And if you say that we should give black people reparations after slavery, then it's like, oh, you're a liberal. But it's like Trump could literally say the most outrageous shit and never be held accountable for it. It's wild, even for law enforcement.
That, though, low-key. He almost said, you would have thought, I mean, you wouldn't think it because it's fucking Trump. But in his inauguration speech, he said something about giving black people credit for building America and all this shit. And that's kind of a lot to say, like coming from a wealthy, old, white male, from America that is looked upon as racist and bigoted and just bigoted towards an amazing, pretty much all groups except for old, wealthy white men, basically. Because he even trashes the old, wealthy white women.
Southern kindness, though. Southern kindness. I know people that'll be like, oh, man, black people went through a lot in this country. Then we'll go to we'll go to eat out at a KFC, and a van will pull up with black people, and it's like, oh, they're here. And, wow, they're actually not violent for once. Like, the same people say that shit, too. It's like bro, I don't give a shit. I don't give, you can hang out with Oprah and Snoop Dogg, but like yeah, it's because they're rich. If they were not rich, you just know this one's safe. That's what he would say. Like, and that's how he acts, because he says, I know you're a criminal by looking at you, just like he knew the Central Park 5 are criminals apparently. That he had to dump money in the newspaper for. So it's like that's the real. I guess you could say all the nice shit about black people you want, but you could really be just about supremacy. And in the truest sense of the word, I don't even think Trump gives a shit about race. He does not give a shit about race. He doesn't give a shit about gender. He gives a shit about Donald Trump. He gives a shit about him being. He says all the time, I have good genes. I have good genes. I make a lot of money for a reason. You're born into wealth, and you were you bought your way through college. You could barely read, and you graduate from an Ivy League school because of your legacy admissions. But like, talk about DEI and affirmative action. Like, oh my God, affirmative inaction. It's crazy. But like. We look at that, like, you could say all this crazy stuff and not back it up with your actions, and that's when it really matters. It doesn't matter about being racist when it comes to being nice to one black person or saying something about black people. It comes to when you see a black person in a position where you see black communities being poor because of the effects of slavery, and you think, oh, slavery's gone because we made slavery illegal, all the shit's gone. And that person's grandfather had to go piss in the black stall, or the black bathroom. Their grandfather couldn't go to school with white people. We have black people whose grandfathers couldn't go to school with white people, and then you have white people whose grandfathers were trying to hang black people. And then we all come together like 20 years later, like, racism solved, guys. We can't talk about race again. Oh, actually, Obama's the reason we're racist. It's like, oh, yeah. Blame seeing a black guy. I saw a black guy be president. I had to be like, really? You had to be racist after seeing that shit? It's just crazy. It's just crazy the mental gymnastics people will do. And I think like the far left does not help when it comes to talking about race issues, for sure. Like trying to guilt white people, trying to say white privilege and you should feel sorry for what your people did or whatever. That's not helpful either. But we need to be able to have these tough conversations because it really does matter. And the racism kicks in when you see black communities and going through systemic issues and look at redlining, look at slavery, look at the lack of generational wealth. Are you going to say, we should be helping communities, black people by the nature of just being black in America? We're considered to be subhuman or less than human or 3/5 of a human or barely even considered a man. You called boy by Southern, especially now they're still called boy by a lot of Confederate soldiers today. The Facebook Confederate soldiers, not the gay ones, but like the new gay ones, because they're all kind of closeted. But like, when you see those black people, do you say like, oh, look at those thugs who listen to rap music? Or do you say like, yeah, I mean, I understand like what happened. I understand why the crime rate's higher and here's how we fix it. Like, that's the real conversation where you can see like where this prejudice is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're a very knowledgeable person. Sounds like it, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
this is good. Good discussion.
Yeah, I enjoy your show, but I'll let you go ahead and continue your show, and I'll keep watching.
I appreciate it. Someone said you're the only one I hear saying this dumb racist crap. Yeah, because when Trump says it, his dick is in your ears. You can't hear shit. Like you're gargling too much. Like I don't know what to tell you, bro. If you're tapped out for any conversation that'll hurt your feelings, I don't understand why you listen to me say it when you don't listen to your own side say it. Like I want people to come together from all backgrounds, but you just want to hate other people because that's all you got. You can't build shit. Yeah, thank you for the call.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right, have a good one, man. Thank you for watching. PDS sending you off topic. Easy, beta boy. Oh, can you make an actual comment other than a 3-word slogan? You're probably an AI bot from India anyway. Like, I don't know why I would listen to your dumbass account. Like, if you're not an AI bot, you better find an AI bot because you'll probably sound smarter. Holy shit. Can someone please call me? Call the number on the screen. I'm on one right now. Who's this guy? No, I'm not talking to that guy. No. Not talking to that guy. You honestly talk about the same old talking points as Democrat. Oh, let me talk about black people. DEI, oh, pronouns. I cry when I hear pronouns, bro. What's a policy? I don't know what a policy is. I just know Daddy Trump's gonna lead me to salvation. Like, do you really want to go there? You want me to mention a pronoun so you bitch about that for 25 hours? Pronouns are so upsetting to me. I'm not gonna. I'll tell you what. When I said don't tread on me, when I said don't tread on me, you can take my Social Security, you could take my country, you could take the VA, You could take Medicare, Medicaid. You could take all that stuff. When I said don't tread on me, I said don't say pronouns around me because I will piss my pants and cry. That's what you are. Adam is gay and for Trump. I don't think that's true. That's right. Trump's your daddy, white boy. Thank you. Plenty of black people have killed / hurt white people. Why do their white kids have to have right to be racist? Did I mention white people and black people? No, I mentioned the U.S. government. The U.S. government held black people as subhuman and did not allow black people to even live until like the 70s, maybe 80s, maybe 90s. That's the point. It's the government, not your little dipshit one-on-one battles with your comment section.
To accept, press.
Hello.
Hey, is it Jolah?
Yes, it is. What's up?
Hey, man, I was watching your stream, and I just want to debate a little bit.
Okay, I'm a master debater, so you better watch out.
All right. So I just wanted to argue really quick. I disagree with your viewpoints on the Second Amendment. And my argument for that is the safest places that we have in the United States are usually the ones with the most legal gun owners in them. And at the moment, I can only cite one place as evidence for that.
One place.
Yeah. Would you like to know what it is?
What?
It's Kennesaw. It's a town called Kennesaw, Georgia. I'm sorry. It's a town called Kennesaw that's located in Georgia.
But just in general with the actual data, there's a lot more. Like children live a lot shorter lifespans in areas with high gun ownership. The crime rate is higher. Even legal gun ownership, there are more fatalities and an argument between neighbors escalates more to where someone gets shot. Having something like concealed carry permits being a thing instead of just like no permit open carry decreases a lot of violence. I don't know where you got the stats that having more guns leads to less violence. It's usually the opposite.
I didn't say. I wanted to correct the terminology here. When we say, you just finished saying that having more guns means a safer environment, but that's not what I said. I said having more legal gun owners creates a safer environment. And my argument for that is somebody who is a threat to others in society isn't going to do something in a place that's full of people who are actually armed.
That's not true at all, because if that was the case, there'd be no violence or any crime in cities as well. But like the idea that like it keeps people honest in like Alaska, for example, Alaska has extremely high crime rates. A lot less people live there. But the top firearm mortality rates for firearm mortality. Number 1 is Mississippi, number 2 is Louisiana, number 3 is New Mexico, number 4 Wyoming, number 5 Alabama, number 6 Montana, and this is per 100,000 people. 7 Alaska, 8 Arkansas, 9 Missouri, 10 Tennessee. Let me see the actual list, but all the red states have much higher rates of overall violent crime, and people die a lot younger in red states. I'm trying to get to a blue state. The closest blue state is let me see. Well, you could disagree with the data. You could disagree with the data, but you're still wrong about like the reality.
Well, you say blue. Okay, you say blue states have less, but the problem is it's blue cities that have the highest crime rates in America.
I just feel like you're not going off of like the world. You're going off of vibes a little bit.
No, I'm not. You can literally Google this up. Minneapolis, Cincinnati, Chicago.
Yeah, but like
Chicago
even Republican cities have really high crime rates though. They have higher crime rates than blue cities do. But Republicans usually don't win in cities.
What does this have? What does what does being safe have to do with the
No, I mean cities in
election?
general are more dangerous. It's not a party thing for all these areas. It's usually correlated with crime. A lot of people in one area. If there's a lot of poor people in one area, you're gonna have more crime. Usually correlated more with poverty. Even rural areas, poor rural areas that are all white have really high crime rates as well. Really depends like what the mix of the different factors is. And I'm just saying in general, the states matter because the gun laws vary by state mostly. But the blue states' gun laws produce almost half the gun deaths than red states.
So, okay.
And mortality rate in these states, by the way, blue states on average, if you live in a blue state, you probably live 5 to 7 years longer than if you live in a red state. People in blue states live much longer than people in red states do.
I would question the data on that because the mortality of people depends on many factors.
I agree.
You're not just going to blame the mortality rates of a single place only on gun violence.
No. I'm not saying gun violence. I'm saying like in general democratic policy. So like for example, democratic states regulate cancer-causing chemicals more. So if a company is putting cancerous chemicals, carcinogens, into the air, they regulate those companies. They regulate cancer-causing chemicals in the water. So in democratic voting states, the average life expectancy is 78 years. In Republican voting states, it's 75.5 years. So in blue states, you live 3 years more on average, which is a lot of years. And that's because there's better medical systems. They fund things like Medicaid. They have more regulations on how clean the water and air is. And also the firearms do play a role into that number.
We're getting off topic here because my argument was about guns specifically.
Well, I just said the areas with more guns have more violence. The areas with more guns have more violence and more violent crimes. And the blue cities that you talk about, they have more guns. So yeah, more guns means more crime and more violence.
But Kennesaw, Georgia has proved that that's not true because Kennesaw, Georgia is actually labeled as the safest town, as the safest
I'm
place
sorry.
to live.
I have to ask you something. I'll try not to just tell you it. But if we have like, let's say 99% of cases say one thing. And if we find one town where your point is true, would I listen to the one exception or the 99.9% rule of what like most areas experience? And what's the town name again? Kennesaw.
Well, I would probably examine what's working in the correct example. That's what I would focus on. I wouldn't focus on trying to piggyback on the majority rules here, because like, let's take it like this, right? You have a family, right? And then a bunch of squatters come in and try to invade your house. What are you going to do?
That doesn't affect the overall crime rates.
But if you had a gun, if you had a rifle, you could have a better chance of protecting your family against the squatters.
But if we have Medicaid and Medicare, we have less of a chance to be robbed because more people are going to be getting health care and mental health services. So that's why blue states have lower rates of crime and blue states in total.
What makes you think that criminals care about Medicaid and mental health services?
Because not everyone is destined to be a criminal. Many people that do crime are either from very distorted backgrounds that have mental illnesses, or they're doing it out of desperation. There's a whole host of reasons people get into crime that is not just them wanting to be into crime. A lot of lack of opportunity, a lot of different things. And we do see that if people are there's a reason. Let me find something real quick. Let me see. For upper middle class versus.
I mean, I'm watching your stream live right now, but I can't hear it, but I can see what's going on. If you want to put up something on your screen and you want to show it, you can.
The crime rate for those in poverty is like 3 times higher than those from high income households, and even if you are lower middle class versus upper middle class, the crime rate is extremely higher for upper middle class. So the more stresses in life, the higher rates of criminal cases, especially criminal violence. And it's just like if you have a better structure for the bottom of your society, you have a more comprehensive approach to dealing with crime rather than just thinking about guns and over policing, which actually leads to more crime. Like better social services lead to less crime. Better social workers lead to less crime. And by the way, I would never say like, oh, we should replace police with social workers, but you need to add police and add social workers at the same time. And the social workers would not be responding to calls, but they would be working with people and working with kids, especially because you could tell if someone's going to be a criminal by a lot of their actions as you know, a lot of the positions they grow up in as children. You know, if they don't have a good household or a host of factors, like childcare can help reduce the crime rate as well. Education can reduce the crime rate as well. And all I mean by that is we'd rather a society where people don't even try to break in your house, so we can support people rather than just betting on you having a firearm in your household.
Kennesaw, Georgia is not a rich people place.
But it's one place. Okay, but you're bringing up one town in America which is like an outlier. Like that, you could have one place in America defy the rule. But I'm saying when you look at every town in America, what you're saying right now is not true. Like maybe in this one town they get lucky and there's like, I don't know, there's a good, I don't know, they just got lucky to have a nice area. But it's not determinant of the entire world. On like Alaska has extremely high crime rate and they have a lot of guns. They don't really have law enforcement in Alaska.
Hold on, Joe. Take a moment right now and try to think about how many legal gun owners you know actually committed violence that was not self-defense.
So I live in a rural area. I know tons of people that used guns against their wives, 100%. Maybe not actually following through with it, but definitely to threaten them. I know people that stole guns from other gun owners to do crimes, broke into gun cabinets. I know tons of people in rural America that have committed crimes with guns, and most of it is domestic violence, which is, you know, they talk about the boyfriend loophole or whatever. But yeah, a lot of it is domestic violence. I know tons of people with guns that do it, or they hurt themselves, or they do stuff that's close to hurting people because accidental. They get drunk a lot and they shoot guns at stuff. Because they want to have fun and they ride their four-wheelers out and get drunk and shoot at shit. So yeah, I know a lot of people that have done things with guns, but still, I still would refer to data versus my personal experience.
All right, that's fair. I mean, you're allowed to have that opinion. I'm not gonna take that away from you. And likewise, I'm allowed to have mine. You know. But
in the data, there's no relationship I can find between home invasions and gun ownership. So areas with high gun ownership have the same amount of home invasions, or maybe even more than areas without gun ownership. It really does, like having the entire society be more strong or stronger seems to be the stronger thing that predicts like crime. Not really. It's like the death penalty too. Like the death penalty does not deter crime at all. In fact, having the death penalty, states that have the death penalty have higher rates of crime than those that don't, because the death penalty does not deter crime. But people think it does because it seems like it would. It just like common sense says having a gun or the death penalty would decrease crime, but it never. It just does not bear out in the data because human psychology is really complex.
I disagree with you. I think I've seen some data in the past that did show that there is a good correlation with less crime in areas where people are actually armed, you know. But when I say armed, I mean that legally armed, not illegally armed. So you look at some place like Cincinnati, for example, or let's just take Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a predominantly low-income place. You know, you have a lot of drug addicts too. And there's also going to be a lot of violence in those areas, particularly illegal gun violence. But in areas where you have more rural areas where you have houses that have legal gun owners, criminals tend to be killed in those areas. And they get on the news. There's more news reports about people using guns for self-defense than there are about people using guns for actual crime. but I don't like. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Let's see. Police shootings and home protection is similar in rural and urban areas. The reason urban areas usually look worse is because it's a bunch of people in one spot. So like in New York City, for example, there's plenty of rural communities that are more dangerous than New York City. But New York City seems really scary because it's a city. The crimes are usually louder if it happens, and it's all people grouped into one area. So it's just really hard. Like people right now, it's hard for some people to rationalize what the facts are about these things. Like one big example I bring up is people would rather drive than take a subway, like in New York. And taking the subway in New York is like 50 times safer, maybe 100 times safer than driving. But the subway is in the media, and people believe the subway is dangerous because the news stories are super scary. And I know everyone in the comments is going to say the subway is where you get pushed on the train tracks. The chances you die in a car crash are so much higher. It's insane how much higher it is. And it's just like one of those things where it makes common sense in your brains. But it doesn't really make the community safer. Now, that is not to say, for example, I would never say, like, that's a reason for getting rid of gun ownership, because I do support the Second Amendment. But I would say that it's an argument for increasing our social programs and our ability to support kids who are developing, because kids falling off and not having a good home and not having any leadership or role models and having underfunded education, that's a reason kids become criminals eventually. There are mental health reasons that are never solved, especially in these poor areas, especially in cities, especially for Black people, that never deals with the mental health considerations that you can catch at a young age and help them get into whatever help they need. So I would say that the reason I don't like people saying gun ownership is going to lead to more safety and freedom is because on a list of things, even for the founding fathers in the Constitution, on the list of things that maintain freedom for Americans, it's not the First or Second Amendment. It's due process. It's like the Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment. It's being able to have privacy from the government, not being invaded, not be like searches and seizures. Those are the things that protect freedom. An educated population protects against tyranny. That really reinforces freedom. The guns really. Yeah, but I'm saying the core foundation of our Constitution is like due process. It's not the Second Amendment, because like right now people are not caring about due process, and it's people they don't like. But that's the core of it. Just like if you look at other things, it might seem like we're focusing on the right thing, or it might seem like guns are the biggest. Like we need guns and death penalty to reduce crime, but there's no data at all that does reduce crime. Should you be able to maintain guns? I'm against the death penalty because I don't think the state should be able to kill people, especially without due process. I think people that are pro death penalty are pro authoritarian government, and they don't even know it, because they're happy to see people put to death, which is I don't want to kill any innocent people on behalf of my taxpayer dollars if I can avoid it. But the thing we need to focus on is not the death penalty, not guns. It's due process for our Constitution and legal systems, and it's also building up our societies and our social systems. If we really want safer communities, we need to reinvest in our communities, and then our law enforcement will have easier jobs, because we're going to catch criminals and help them go down a better path before they actually commit crime.
Well, okay, for starters, so I gotta backtrack on what I said at the beginning of this call, because I thought that you were against the Second Amendment, or against having the Second Amendment, because it is a fundamental right for you to be able to defend yourself. Even from a humanitarian standpoint, you should be able to defend yourself from an attacker, somebody who threatens your life or your family's life. I believe that you should be able to end their life,
What do you think about like basic background checks? So like, for example, you beat your wife and now you are on a list of domestic abusers and you can no longer purchase a firearm, and we want to make sure you can't buy a firearm at a gun show or whatever.
Personally, I think that's okay. I think it's okay that we don't give somebody who has a history of domestic violence. I think it's okay that we don't give somebody who has a history of domestic violence a gun. I think those.
Yeah, but a lot of Second Amendment people will say like, oh, the people that talk about it as their as their identity, their gender is Second Amendment. I identify as the Second Amendment. Those people will say like, oh, any infringement at all is unconstitutional. But in my opinion, like, when you have like very basic regulations, I think that's more than reasonable.
Okay, so the thing about that, what you just said regarding domestic violence, if you go to jail if you go to prison or jail, that right to have a gun is pretty much taken away. It's not there for you anymore. You're not allowed to have a gun until the parole officer at least clears it off from your name, you know? And that seems to be well under control. In regards to background checks, I don't think it's right, because when you start doing a background check in terms of like somebody who's never had a criminal history, you know, nothing like that, then you are effectively infringing on somebody's right to own a gun. You know, so this has been used in the past to prevent people who don't even have a criminal record. You know, they don't have anything negative on their name, on their profile, you know.
So like, if someone's like if someone beat their wives and their kids, if someone beat their wives and their kids, for example, should they be able to legally buy a gun then? Is what you're saying?
No, because if you do that, you go to jail. Like,
but you're saying they should be able to buy a kid though, or they should be able to buy a gun though. If they get out of jail, they should be able to buy a gun. You're saying?
No, I don't
legally.
say that.
Well, how would you ever prevent that if you don't have like basic background checks?
Well, what I'm saying is that so what I just mentioned, Jolah, is that if you go on trial and you get convicted of committing domestic violence against anyone, right? You're not going to have the right to own a gun. That right is going to be taken away from you. You understand? Okay, so here's where I want to answer your question about the background check. The background check. So I'm going to take one example here. His name is John Stossel. Have you ever watched him? He used to be on ABC News a long time ago.
I'm sorry. Okay, just one quick thing too. Like so like Trump with the red flag laws, where he wants to be able to have a report of someone that might be violent and take their guns instantly with no trial, no judge or whatever. That is very authoritarian. That is bypassing a judge though. That's authoritarian. You can make an argument for some type of thing like that with a very limited period. But if you have background checks, you can appeal that. You could have a court system. You could have due process. You could have a lawyer. You can do things to say like, okay, well, I'm being wrongly denied this claim or whatever, or I'm being wrongly denied a firearm. There's an actual process for that. The thing that would infringe, in my opinion, are I think Trump infringes more authoritarian policies on the Second Amendment than even background checks do, because of the red flags ability to bypass courts and judges and all that kind of stuff. Like nothing is going to be perfect, yes or no, but I want a system where there is a legal framework and a way to reinforce it. And I'm pretty sure courts have said that reasonable regulations, like basic background checks to make sure if you are mentally ill or a felon, it's hard for you to buy a firearm. Not easy, but like make it harder.
My rebuttal to that is that people who don't have any history of mental illnesses or things like that, they're being denied even with these background checks.
Yeah, but you can appeal that. I'm saying you can appeal that if you are being wrongly denied, but I don't know any proof of that. And I really don't know any proof of that happening at a maybe there's a issue with the system, but I've never heard of someone. I know tons of people that got guns. I do not know anyone that was denied because of like a basic background check. I know people that have concealed carry permits.
I literally just mentioned a guy. No. I literally just mentioned a guy who.
Okay, so you're saying that we cannot. So you're saying that if you're mentally ill or if you beat your wife, you should be able to buy a gun then, because you need some way to check to have basic background checks at a gun shop or whatever to make sure that that person's not getting it. So you would trade that.
If you have that in your record, it's going to show up, Jolah.
But okay, how is it going to show up? Where is it going to show up at?
In the background check. But
okay, so you're okay with background checks.
So what we're arguing here is the method of background checks. So you're saying, oh, okay, somebody with domestic violence, But what I'm saying is somebody who has nothing on their background, nothing. It's clean. There's nothing going on. They are the ones who are being infringed on their rights to own a gun. And this is evident because even somebody like John Stossel, who is pretty well known, he actually tried to do this.
Because there's further review, though, right? There's further review.
No, because they even, you know what they do in New York City? They ask you, why do you need a gun?
Is that a state policy or a city policy?
That means now you need a valid reason in order to own a gun. If you don't have a valid reason to own a gun, then they won't give you the permit. And you can look this up.
What kind of a permit?
It's a concealed carry permit. That's what he was applying.
What about gun ownership? Is it all ownership or just concealed carry?
I think it was. I believe I'm like 90% sure that it was concealed carry. There is a video.
There's no longer a reason required. They removed that. It seems pretty. There's a 2022 Supreme Court decision that made them. That's no longer a requirement. And also the stats on background checks that have false positives that are inaccurate. 99.8% of background checks are completely accurate. 99.8%. So it's a very small percent that is wrong. And also it says that 99.9% of people that were wrongly denied had their cases overturned. So I think those are pretty good numbers for any system. Like we're not in a utopia, we're not going to be in a perfect world. But it seems like a pretty decent system if that's the numbers for it.
I still think it's a little bit suspicious that it even happened in the first place. Even if the laws would change around or this and that due to exposure, because I'm pretty sure if Stossel didn't expose it, it would have just kept going on. But in any case, there is another thing. I guess we can just agree to disagree on some stuff regarding gun ownership and safety, but another thing I wanted to sort of bring up to you is some of the statements that you made about George Floyd. I think it was about a couple of days ago. So there are a few points that I did agree with you on. I believe that Derek Chauvin did actually kill George Floyd by putting his knee on the neck. It's pretty obvious. I wouldn't even argue that. What I disagree with is the response that came after it. I believe that the Black Lives Matter movement really spiraled out of control.
Oh, thank you so much for the donation, Hector. Thank you, Hector, for the donation in chat. Thank you for the donation on PayPal. Thank you, really appreciate it. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
Okay, so I just didn't like the reception of George Floyd because he was not a good man.
I don't know anyone that claimed he was a good man. They just said what happened was wrong.
Well, there were a lot of media outlets that actually tried to paint him as a good man. And I could see from your point of view that
you could humanize someone who's not a good person, or you could humanize someone that went through a lot of things, but he grew up in a pretty shitty area too. He could still be someone that did not deserve to die. He could still be a decent person that loves his kids. You could still be decent for someone. Sure. No one said he was a hero by any means. I don't know. People were friends with him before he was an addict. That happens when people are addicts or alcoholics or whatever. They change as people. He probably went down a really dark path for a few years, obviously, and bad things happen. And he had a really cute daughter who was talking about her dad, and it was really. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be a human sometimes. I don't know why anyone would be upset with the outcry after what happened, because it wasn't about George Floyd being amazing. He was just the one person that was killed. So it was not like anyone chose him to be the martyr.
Well, yeah. So I do agree that, you see, I may be for a republic and, you know, for the conservation of ideas or ideals. But I disagree with the way the police are handling many people's lives today. You know, and it really bothers me because, you know, during the last year, I used to watch this YouTube channel. It's about a lawyer who points out cases where police actually do illegal stuff. So, for example, you have police that violate people's Fourth Amendment right. You have police that violate a bunch of laws in order to basically just perform illegal acts on people. I remember this one cop, like the last video that I watched, this one cop, he tried arresting this man who was just standing by his car, and he got fired, you know, but a lot of that activity does go unpunished, you know. So I think George Floyd's case really brought into light, you know, some of the stuff that police actually do that doesn't get checked, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, you know. Like I guess, like, we can agree that George Floyd was probably not the best man in the world, but
it doesn't. Yeah, nothing about him as a person matters. All they know was someone had a counterfeit check or a bill, and they showed up, and he had some type of panic attack, and the drugs did not play a big role into it, like people like to say. There were no signs of overdose, or there were no signs of him being on heavy downers or anything. He would not be acting like he was acting if that was the case. He definitely had anxiety issues. He was definitely yelling stuff because he didn't want to be arrested, obviously. And, you know, it doesn't matter. All they saw was a man, and all they knew was this guy. We had a call. At that point, all they knew was we got a call for a $20 bill that was not real, and now we're trying to apprehend this person and detain them and put them into the car, and he was not complying, had him on the ground, and then you have your knee on his neck. And then you're there for 4.5 minutes. He's saying he can't breathe. He was saying that, but that's not really what matters, because the total 9.5 minutes or whatever it was, 4.5 of those minutes, 4.5 of those were him struggling. And then another 4.5, he was completely unconscious. So, you know, he maintained the pressure with like 100 pounds of body weight on his neck for 5 minutes, essentially, while this human body was unconscious beneath him. Literally lifeless, and he was dead before he even got to the hospital, I'm pretty sure. He had no pulse when the paramedics showed up. Yeah, I think I'm right about that. But yeah, that's the biggest part right there. All the after the fact stuff, it doesn't matter at all, because anyone could be arrested and have a panic attack, and, you know, as an officer, especially when he passes out completely, like, that's the big thing that probably got him the charges that I keep saying, is the fact that even when he was fully passed out, he was still putting the same amount of pressure on his neck. Why did he have the same amount of pressure on his neck for 5 minutes as a police officer for a guy who's literally unconscious?
I do think it was wrong to do that. And I know a lot of people who are Republican or conservative. They will argue the fact that he did have a high amount of narcotics on him in his toxicology report. You know, like I remember, if I recall correctly, he had like 11 nanograms per milliliter of methamphetamines in his system. But honestly, even if that was the case, you know, that kind of level of intoxication for those chemicals, most people survive those levels. But I do think it did, even though I do think that it had a contribution to the way Derek killed this man, you know, I believe that ultimately the fatal cause of George Floyd's death is the knee on his neck.
Well, okay, so all the medical opinions agree with you. All the medical opinions have concluded that the drugs were not a huge factor in the case. That's not what an overdose looks like. It's not what the drugs would look like. And it was improper technique as well. He was never the person that trained him. The person that trained Chauvin said that it was not proper. He was never trained that way. That was not approved by any. Even the experts that were not from the department said, yeah, this is not an approved way to hold someone. And it's like, yeah, every piece of evidence goes against what the right wingers say about this topic. Every single piece of evidence, and they bring up, the lethal dosage of fentanyl. Well, tolerance actually matters. Science actually matters. The shit matters. We can't just say stuff. I'm gonna go into. I appreciate the call. I'm gonna take one more for tonight. But I appreciate it.
Well, it was good talking to you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, see you.
I'll talk to one more person if someone's trying to call in. Please drop a like and subscribe. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the donation on PayPal again. I don't know if anyone donated on Venmo or Cash App. YouTube's throttling. They're throttling my YouTube's throttling my stream, guys. They don't want me to grow. They don't want to see me fly. They don't want to see it. They just don't want to see me be successful. What a shame. What a shame, bro. What a shame. What a shame. Judge a life that you can change. You know what? I need to sing that song more. That's a good song. Good job, Everlast. What a shame. What a shame.
You know, you talk nonsense. I would love to debate you anytime, anywhere. It's not about free speech. It's about threatening students to go to class and keeping them from class and taking over buildings. That's not free speech.
Anthony Savino.
Well, GG's. Doxed. Whoops.
Call from
Robert.
Hello.
Hello? Hey, you got me?
What's up? This is the Jolah Politics guy on YouTube. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Hector, for the super chat. Yeah, what's up?
Hey, how we doing? I'm actually really surprised I got through. I figured there'd be a lot more callers.
Yeah, it's a down night tonight. We're just chilling.
I gotcha. Yeah, so I've been listening to a little bit of your stuff. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm not like a super educated person, just like most Americans and stuff. I'm not saying that I'm a Trumper, nor am I saying that I guess I'm kind of in the middle and stuff. But, I've listened to some of your stuff, and like that guy that was just on about guns and everything like that. I'm a gun owner, and, I've traveled around the United States quite a bit. I've been to 40 different states. I'm not a very well educated person as far as like schooling and stuff like that. But, I have a lot of life experience. I've seen a lot of things. And, it kind of seems to me like I'm like most Americans and most people around the country, and we get our information from what we see, and what we hear and stuff. And I, to lean on the gun point a little bit, sorry for sounding a little bit nervous, but I don't really do things like this that often or never.
Yeah, no worries. All good.
But, the Second Amendment, in my opinion, was never written, as far as like, hey, you can own a gun. It's written in a way such that it's, it says you have the right to bear arms against enemies, foreign and domestic. Bearing arms is a fist fight. It's a deterrent and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the travesty that's going on in the world today, with Putin and Ukraine and the Iran and Yemen and so on and so forth. It's like I look at it like, the United States has created a lot of enemies. Well, I'm part of that American institution. Now my kids are, and if we're creating enemies and stuff, and we were ever to get invaded by any of these enemies, wouldn't I, shouldn't I have the right to protect myself and, fight against these enemies that were created by people that are beyond me?
Yeah, that's really difficult conversation because the one framework would be you want everyone to be armed to prevent from invasion, and then there's another that would say you want to be armed to protect from tyranny from your own government. So those are two separate thought patterns for me because I feel like if we were in a state of possibly being invaded, I think that matters a lot more. So like when it comes to protecting American freedom with our government and constitution, I think due process, the First Amendment matters much more than the Second Amendment. When they say like the First Amendment is protected by the Second Amendment, that never really plays out for a ton of reasons. But in America right now, if we were in a place where we can get invaded, there's a much better argument for people being invaded if we were a country that was getting in wars and that had wars on our own land. But America has not had to go through that for a long time, and I feel like the type of warfare we're going to see in the future, and this is a whole different conversation, I feel like, but it's going to be cyber warfare. It's going to be economic warfare. It's going to be attacks on the electric grid. It's going to be restricting trade.
Let me ask you a question though. Okay, and I agree with you. It's totally going to be cyber warfare. But how long is that cyber warfare going to last before it becomes something different and stuff?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, it's difficult because when it gets to that point, it's going to be pretty screwed up, right? Like, if it gets to that point, we're going to be in a really bad position anyway, so.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I feel like we're borderline on that position right now. It's kind of like my position on the whole border thing. It's like, that Mexico is loaded with cartels. It's loaded with drugs and bad people. That's why the asylum seekers are coming to the United States to seek asylum from Haiti because it's a trashy, terrible place to live, and stuff. But the problem I see with opening the border completely is now it's like if you're running from wolves and stuff, and you run in a gate, but you leave the gate open. Those wolves are still after you, and those wolves are still going to come over here, and that's what I see, with the whole open border thing, and I see that kind of with the gun thing, and so on and so forth. Everything that we do as human beings come with a cost. And nothing will ever be perfect and stuff. And it's hard to sit here and, condemn one person's beliefs over another, because we all come from different walks of life. And we, some of the shit that I've seen in my life is absolutely just devastating to me. I mean, my hometown, a small town of in Oregon, and stuff. I mean, I don't want to really disclose where I live or anything like that, but it's like I watched that place, kind of a beautiful place, and then as time went on here, it's just getting trashier and trashier. Some of that is with liberal views, and I'll say that I live here in Oregon, and it's a very leftist state, and it's like
yeah,
it is a very leftist state, for the most part, but it's like I walk down the road and it's like, okay, well, we're going to legalize drugs, and now here's some free fentanyl and so on and so forth. And it's like I feel like nobody's really doing anything about the actual problem. They're just giving into it.
I have a few different ways to go about these things. So the open borders stuff, it's not really open borders in a sense of allowing illegal immigration, because they don't allow that. But our asylum laws currently allow for, if you come into America with an asylum claim, you can come here, and if you report yourself within a time frame, you can seek an actual asylum hearing. Or you could go to a port of entry and seek asylum, which many people do as well. If we follow our laws exactly, we're going to have too many people coming over. And there have been bills that try to restrict that number, but Trump told Republicans to vote it down when it had a chance to pass in a bipartisan manner with Biden as president, because Trump wanted to campaign on it instead of actually solving the issue. Another problem is the crime rate for immigrants is extremely low. It's very low for undocumented immigrants, for illegal immigrants, for naturalized, for citizens. It's extremely low for anyone that's born outside of the U.S. Naturally born American citizens actually have a higher rate of crime by far compared to immigrants, because if you're an immigrant, you really don't want to get deported, so you're gonna stay away from crime as much as possible, even very petty dumb crimes. And there's no evidence at all that the huge immigration surges we have, they don't increase crime anywhere. There are crimes people sensationalize. So it's like if an immigrant kills someone, it's going to be national news, right? You hear about Lake and Riley 24/7. They use that poor girl's name for all the politics they can. But you know,
well, I mean,
there's
we
girls
could
that
say
get
the same thing
killed
for
all the time. And if we want to talk about who kills more women, it's like 90% white men who do all the rapes and murders of women. It's like we can't just like take one person or one case and use that for the entire group, especially because like you know, immigrants have such a low crime rate. Like these are people that are like by far the vast majority are escaping persecution. But right now, Trump has quotas for ICE, and you never want quotas on law enforcement. And I always say this because you know, you don't want them going after people just for the sake of getting numbers.
Hey, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I mean, there was quotas being given to police officers up here in Multnomah County out of Portland and stuff for traffic violations. And they also made it a law to where they could pull over people for driving too well and stuff. And, you know, that kind of bureaucracy. I mean, I shit you not, dude. Seriously, it's fucking insane. You know, that to me is, you know, I mean, like it's appalling, you know, and these are, you know, supposed to be our peers, like police officers, for instance. You know, it's like, you know, there's good ones and there's bad ones. There's people, you know, it's, you know, there's good people and there's bad people on so many different levels and stuff. But I feel like some of our politicians, you know, and especially like, because I live in a very blue state and stuff. Okay, we have a major here. It's Major 11. Okay, you can't so much as like, you know, like, you get in a fist fight with somebody at a bar without one or both of you going to jail for 5 years. I mean, seriously, you're like making laws against human nature and territorialism and stuff like that. You know, I mean, you grow up, you know, it's like you have these traits. You know, it's like if somebody's banging your girlfriend or something like that, you come home, you beat the hell out of the dude or something like that. I mean, you can call it domestic violence, but at the same time, it's like, you know, where are you at in your mindset? How would anybody else on the planet feel, you know, if you came home to that, or if you're, you know, drinking at a bar, somebody riles you up, you get in a fist fight, you know, it could just go blow for blow and you know, then call it quits and everybody goes their separate directions. But now it's like all the police get involved and there's court dates and there's fines and there's prison time and stuff, and it's just like you're feeding people into this prison industrial complex, you know, over stupid things.
Yeah, someone in chat said, and they don't ever use the name of George Floyd. Yeah, no, Republicans talk about George Floyd more than Democrats do. They talk about Laken Riley every single day on the news. Tom Homan, that dumbass, he was using Laken Riley's murder as a reason to violate due process and to violate the Constitution. Like, did Laken Riley get due process? So, like, they're making the argument, but because Laken Riley was killed by a murderer, we should become more like the murderer. I don't think we should do that. So yeah, I mean, they use Laken Riley's name constantly, way more than George Floyd was used, and they're not going to stop using it because she's like their person they're going to use to demonize all immigrants. And that's what they're sending innocent people to El Salvador right now, and they don't give a shit.
Right,
like, innocent people.
Here's my thing is I think that goes on both sides of the fence, though. And,
yeah, they use it for politics, but at least on my side, I could say like, okay, they're using it for politics. But on the Republican side, they literally use it to demonize all immigrants. Like right now, they're happy to see brown people carried out of America because they're just happy to see brown people.
Yeah, and I think it's whatever pops up in your algorithm first. You know, it's like if I sitting here looking up stuff about Republicans, that's all I see, you know, just, you know, or, you know, things that I agree with, whatever like that, then it's just bam, bam, bam. But, you know, there's certain questions that I've tried to ask Google in the past. It's like, I can't get a direct answer, you know, like facts or anything like that, you know, or whatever. And like I told you, I'm not like a hyper educated person, you know, but I've been around the country, you know, I've been to like Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You drive on I believe it's I-10, I can't remember. And stuff, but you drive in that, there's a big billboard up there that's like they're proud of it. It says more murders per capita than Chicago. You know, that's an actual factual thing. There was a billboard. I saw it with my own eyes. It's right there alongside the freeway. You know, and I mean, granted, that's a very red state, but you know, what are the cities? You know, I mean, it's like a lawless community. You know, and I understand that there's not a lot of police officers and stuff, but it's, I mean, the United States is a disgusting place. You know, and you know, on both sides of the fence, you know, the left wing, the right wing, and stuff. One is just as corrupt as the other. I mean, I would
definitely disagree with that. I would disagree heavily with that in a broad scale. Like the left wing is definitely far less corrupt than the right wing. There still is corruption for sure, but from a pure basis of what policies they run on, what policies they do, if they hold big companies accountable, how much big donor money they get. The right wing gets so much more big donor money. They do such better policies for the big banks, and they screw over working people far more than Democrats do. Although I'm not happy with Democrats, but the right wing, especially now in America, this is the most corporate, corrupt party we've ever seen control the presidency, I would argue that one side is 100% definitely better than the other for tons of reasons.
Well, like I said, I'm just going off my life experiences, basically more so than anything, and probably feeling. And stuff.
Yeah, but my job, my goal with like a channel like this is going through these topics and going more in depth, so we could talk about, okay, well, they look the same, because like Trump's goal is to make everything seem super corrupt. All these politicians' goal, these really terrible politicians. Trump did not spend $1 on advertising making himself look good. It was just making Democrats look bad. If you can convince everyone that, Democrats and Republicans are both just as bad as each other, if they're both just as bad, you're going to pick the more exciting person, the more bombastic person, or you're going to vote. Or you're just not going to vote at all. You're going to be disengaged from the political system. And that's what Trump did intentionally with his advertisements. He wants you to just not vote or to not be engaged, because everything is the same corruption. And meanwhile, like Joe Biden was holding corporations accountable. Donald Trump is not doing that at all.
Okay. But I mean, to play devil's advocate on what you're saying about how his funding for his campaign was to, just kind of demonize Democrats. Well, for basically the last 8 years, before his second term and stuff, we listened to the Democrats demonize Trump, and it was like shoved down our throats, through mainstream media, through all the.
Yeah, but he's he's a terrible person. He's a terrible president. He's a really bad, he did try overturning an election that he lost. He still lies about it. He pardoned the January 6th people. He wants to give them reparations. And meanwhile, he says the cops on that day were enemies. He's a reprehensible human being. He deserves the criticism he gets. But the issue is that, like he does not make himself look good. He ran on zero healthcare policy. He had zero policies at all other than tariffs, and I'm going to be an asshole to people you don't like. I'm going to own the libs for you. Harris actually ran on policies and no one gave a shit.
Okay, well, I mean, if you want to go Democratic policies, under every Democratic president I've ever lived through and stuff, which was 3 now, Bill, I think it was, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and stuff. It's okay, maybe there was precursors, from the previous president or anything like that, but I can just tell you this, some president gets elected, I all of a sudden can't afford to go to work. President gets elected, I lose my health care through my job because they can't afford to pay for it, and then I get fined $1,500 or $1,700 and some odd dollars, through my taxes to pay for Obamacare and stuff. I mean, that was a little unjust. I was forced to pay that, and if I didn't, what were the repercussions and stuff? So, it's just going off my own life and the things that I've seen in my own life and stuff, and I think I can speak for a lot of other people. It's just the things that we see that's right in front of us and stuff. When, in my experiences, when 2008, for instance, when we had the recession, it's I lived in kind of a smaller town that was growing in population, and all of a sudden there was no construction. All of a sudden, all the mills shut down. Everything. There was absolutely no work. I had to move. And I had to move to a place I really didn't want to go in order to find.
The big thing with that is just Trump got lucky with the economy. They gave him credit because he got lucky. But with 2008, that happened because George Bush deregulated banks so much. And it also Democrats in 2010 passed laws, the Dodd-Frank Wall Street reforms, to hold big banks accountable. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was made back then. Democrats passed that. No Republicans voted for it at all. When it was time to hold big banks accountable for screwing us over in 2008, only Democrats voted for that. Republicans voted against it. And now Trump removed all of those protections that we had to hold these big banks accountable. So the people that caused 2008, somehow Republicans fail, they blame it on Democrats, and they get all the benefits. So Trump takes over after Obama fixes 2008. Trump goes off of Obama's growing economy, gets credit for it. Then he crashes the economy with COVID. Biden somehow gets blamed for the shitty job Trump did with COVID. Biden gets blamed, leads America to the #1 economy in the world. But Americans are still mad about prices going up, which every country had people mad about that with inflation, because global inflation happened in every country. And then somehow Trump takes over when the economy's in a good position from Biden after the COVID crash, and Trump is somehow crashing it again. It's insane how we have this Bush crash. Reagan, Bush crash it. Bush, Clinton has a Reagan and Bush crash it, and grow our national deficit more than like Reagan started the national deficit crisis. George Bush, Reagan, and Trump are the people that are 90% responsible for a national debt. It's insane that Democrats get blamed for being the big spender somehow and being fiscally irresponsible. It's insane how Republicans can propagandize. I'm sorry for getting like worked up right now, but it's insane how Republicans can be so shitty at their jobs and propagandize people to hell. Like they are literally ones that grow the national debt. We had Reagan and Bush. The deficit went crazy for the first time. Then we had Clinton have a surplus. Then we had George W. Bush crash the economy again, leading us into terrible wars in Afghanistan. And pass the tax cut for the ultra wealthy. Huge deficits. Then financial crisis. Obama takes over. We have to bail out the freaking banks. We pass some reforms for banks to limit them. Obama brings the economy back, lowers our deficit to like $400 billion a year. Trump takes over, cuts taxes again, increases the deficit back to like $700 billion a year. COVID happens. Trump handles it terribly. More Americans die from COVID than any other country had deaths because we handled it so bad. But no Americans care. Trump crashes the damn economy. Biden comes in. We became the number one economy in the world. Freaking, he gets blamed for it somehow. He gets blamed for the inflation that Trump caused. He gets blamed for the immigration that Trump caused because the immigration was going up before Trump even left office. And somehow he gets blamed for it for fixing the economy, and Trump gets credit for when he comes into office with a strong economy, and then Trump crashes it again, and Trump still does not get the blame. Like, it's such a crazy world. Holy crap.
And I totally agree with you. Okay, so I agree with you on this. And I have to thank you, okay, for educating me on all this. Because like I told you, I'm not a very educated person when it comes to any of this stuff. And I never lived a life that would allow me to be until here kind of recently when so I'm a commercial fisherman. I run a 57-foot commercial crab boat in Oregon.
Oh, yeah. What kind of crab?
And Dungeness crab.
Ooh.
And and I tuna fish. I do a lot of other fisheries and stuff too, But this is my life, and it is a very to me overregulated thing. Now I understand, there is need for regulations in fishing because it can be overfished, it can be devastating, and so on and so forth. But I also think it's also kind of the whole fishing industry is kind of ran by like a mafia sort of thing and stuff. But there's like these these regulations and stuff, and the amount of like the state police of Oregon and stuff like that coming down on us and stuff. It's always it's a burden. I mean the paperwork and stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with paperwork, but I mean some of it is like just it's like revenue building shit, just to hope you fail.
There's a lot of regulation that doesn't work very well. But my issue is with politics in general is, Democrats will talk about that. We can have a discussion about how to make those better. And then I'll be talking about that, I'll go to the school board meeting, talk about the local, budget and the property taxes and go to all these places. And the damn Republicans that are in charge now, they're like, but we have to ban the pronouns. What about the pronouns and the twins? The pronouns are killing the kids. The pronouns and the books. We got to ban the books and the pronouns. The pronouns and DEI. Pronouns. It's like you're all white and there's no black people working here. The DEI killed us. The pronouns. It's like there's not even one person here that uses pronouns, and there's no trans people here. The pronouns are attacking us. It's like, okay, let's talk about the budget. But the pronouns are in the budget, though. It's like, can you shut up about the damn pronouns? Holy shit. How offended do you need to freaking be? Can we talk about shit that actually helps people? Like, I wish we could have a debate on regulations. I wish there was because it would make Democrats better. It would make Democrats better if they had an actual opposing party that could speak English. It'd be amazing if we had an opposing party to make Democrats be better on this stuff. It'd be awesome.
I totally agree. And I mean, and honestly, I could say that for both sides, because I mean, listen to yourself. I mean, in the way you're talking to me and how hyped up you're getting and stuff like that. For the average person, it's hard to talk to people like you, to education, to academics and stuff. It's really hard.
Oh, I'm in a bad mood today. I'm usually really good. I'm in a bad mood today.
You're not. I've seen you a few times. You're not usually in a good mood. I've heard what you call people.
Well, I talk to people about politics at 1 a.m. on weeknights. What do you think I'm doing?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, I understand long hours. I do. I get it. So, but the thing about it is I mean, I guess the point of the conversation I'm making is just a layman American, that we have certain ideas, about how the economy is. Now, I'll let you know, I have 5 kids. I'm 42 years old. I have 5 kids and stuff. My life is busy, very, very busy, and I don't have time. Like I can't sit down. I can't do all this research and stuff like that. I don't have time to do it.
Let me talk to you like you're a voter then. Let me talk to you like I'm a candidate. Okay, I'm gonna run for office. Okay, 1 second. Let me find it. Okay, so I'm running for office. I'm telling you about my campaign. Okay, so this is my mode I'd be in if I was not on YouTube doing YouTube debates. This is my campaign speech. Okay. Throughout this campaign, I plan to uncover the value of what I have to offer. We don't have leadership right now, and through my leadership, my main goal is motivating you, showing everyone there are ways to impact your community. The American people have unique power. I'm not going to outsource my job to Elon Musk or another billionaire. I believe you have the answers. But you're busy. You have jobs, you raise kids. I don't expect you to be a dork like I am. It's not fun talking about politics all the time. Real leadership would make government easier for you to influence without consuming your entire life. Wouldn't that be great, finding things we actually agree on and actually getting them done? We have so many gossip girls and macho men who want to do photo ops all day. Everything's so dramatic. The radical left, wokeism, DEI, broad topics they want us fighting over. The best way to break reality television is to bring it back to reality. Big money should not control politics. It should not. We all agree big money should be out of politics. Let's just do it. If a politician that you talk to does not want to get money out of politics, you know why. Like, that's the kind of thing you would say to voters when you say, okay, you can trust me because I don't take big money. I want to get big money out of politics for healthcare. Why are we giving so many fees to people for Obamacare to both subsidize private insurance and also pay private insurance? Why are we paying both? Are we going to pay the government for health insurance or the private companies? Why are we paying both sides? We're getting screwed from both sides. I would say that. I would go through down this list of topics that relate to people on a more standard level. Give some knowledge where I'm like, okay, I'm knowledgeable about this and that. Here's my general plans to help us move forward. And then, like you said, you're busy. You have kids. You don't want to have to, you have a family or whatever you're dealing with. Whatever someone is dealing with, kids, wives, husbands, whatever it might be.
Right.
You don't want to spend all your time doing politics.
It's not a matter of I don't want it.
No, you don't have time to. You don't have time to, and you don't want to. Yeah. Let's be real. You don't want to either. Like, no one wants to. No one wants to talk about damn politics all the time. It's not fun. But that's the point of having representatives, because people don't have time to do that. So that's why we elect people who can be like our representatives that can focus all of our wants and our desires from our local area in DC, because we're not going to do a national popular vote on every single policy. So that's the point of our system. Right. It's one of the big points. So like if I was talking to someone about being elected, or for Democrats, I think it's a really good play to get money out of politics. If Democrats really pounded that issue every single day, get money out of politics. Anyone that votes against getting money out of politics, they are corrupt. They're bought out. Why the hell would you not do that? Like something like that would be really easy, I feel like.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, I guess kind of what I'm saying is it's like the approach of our politicians. I mean, to me, with what you were reading, I know that's one of your speeches. I think I heard you say that the other day, and stuff. And to be okay. Let me ask you a question. Like, how many roughneck people are in the United States? Just on a guess to you,
roughneck,
like just the average. I mean, in a percentage, out of our 350 million people.
Do you mean just like working people, or just like?
Working class, the guy that's making the crude comments and stuff, the guy that's telling dirty jokes and stuff,
Are we talking about just men or women too?
Women are just as dirty as men, especially, in lower middle class.
So let's say like you're working class, you're making less than 60K, I guess, right? Something like that.
Yeah, let's nowadays
100, or not put a number
around
on it.
7,
probably like 50 million or 70 million.
100,000.
A decent amount of people are going to be. We have 340 million people in America. Most people don't have that much money. So it's hard to say. There's a lot of people though that would watch, like, there's a lot of people that would watch Joe Rogan and Elon Musk talk or Trump talk and think, yeah, this guy makes sense because he's talking to me. He's not trying to talk above me.
See, and that's exactly where I'm going with it and stuff. And the problem with like the academic world is you guys talk down to everybody. All the academic politicians, all of you guys.
Trump talks down to people too, though. It's a different kind of
Trump
talking
talks
down.
But it is a different kind of talk because he's more literally. I listen to him and I get a chuckle out of it. I don't necessarily agree with anything that he says, and stuff. I don't necessarily agree with anything Obama says or anything like that. But the thing about it is you got to capture and captivate the minds of your voters.
Oh, trust me, I very much understand. I very much understand that.
And the problem is, and I can probably say this for lots of other people, millions and stuff, is the fact that you don't sound like them. You're not one of the guys. You're not the friend. At this point, you portray yourself like the enemy because of how hyped up you get. And I could tell you, that me and countless other people are tired of the hyperactive, shove it down your throat shit. It's exhausting.
It's also one of those things where we wish we wish people weren't so soft and so pampered with that kind of stuff, and it's really difficult for a lot of them.
It's not that we're soft or anything like that. It's just that we don't want to fucking listen to you.
I know, but it's because you can't really mentally handle it. It's mental toughness. It is a form of mental toughness, and people need to understand. That's why Bill Clinton was so successful, because he was able to say it in a very folksy way. That's why Obama was successful. He was really angry and passionate. That's why Bernie Sanders is successful. Bernie Sanders is able to say things in a very direct way that sounds very simple, and it's also about empowering people. So that's a very good message. But I wouldn't go to a YouTube debate stream to find that necessarily. If I want to do political ads, I definitely switch to rhetoric.
Right.
That's why Elon Musk sounds like an idiot now too. It's hard to sound intelligent and not sound condescending at the same time. It really is hard. Or you just need to not say intelligent things.
I understand that and stuff. But the thing about it is like it's just like, to me it's I'm coming from a lot of personal experiences and stuff like that, and so on and so forth, because I'm pretty much just like every other American and stuff. I'm not an educated person. And it's like, I want to have a conversation with somebody that's not going to call me stupid or racist for my views and stuff, or just because I'm white, or, like I see something that I don't agree with and stuff like that. That doesn't make me a bigot. It doesn't make me, you don't have to resort to name calling because
but
I don't understand.
And someone said a fisherman, this man isn't soft. I'm not saying he's soft. I'm saying these conversations are difficult. I'm saying that and obviously I'm going to talk like a dork right now because I'm on my YouTube stream at 12 a.m. But either way,
let's let that person come to work with me for a minute.
No, he's saying that you are not. He's saying that you are not soft. But no, I'm saying when I say like it's about the tough conversations, like talking. If a lot of people in America, if you talk about racism, they get offended. Like and this is people who would say that they're social justice warriors or whatever, but it's because they can't talk about racism without getting offended and without getting defensive. And I don't think the far left helps with that at all. And they don't direct the conversation in a good place.
The liberals.
Well, the liberals probably do it even worse, to be honest. But they're the people that people think are leftist or whatever. But like the white privilege talk, the toxic masculinity, none of that helps anyone get to a consensus. It doesn't help to start the conversation with, I think that you're innately evil because you're white in America or whatever. Like it's not beneficial. Is there an example of a Democratic politician that you hear talk and you like them?
Say that again. What now?
Is there an example for a Democratic politician you can hear talk and you like them, or you think they're like enjoyable to listen to, and you think they're not talking down to people?
I'd have to really go back and actually listen to more people.
I'm sorry, because a lot of the times, I'll be honest, this is my final thing I'll say, because I know someone said it's not talking down. A lot of times, you like AOC?
Yeah, the way she talks.
I think she would do well. I think she'd do better than people think, because people do appreciate. She had a high crossover with Trump voters. She talks like Bernie a little bit, just like appealing to. And she's from. I also love how she was a bartender, and Republicans laugh at it. I would love to put her on a debate stage and have like some rich asshole be like, "You were a dirty bartender. That's disgusting." And hear all the bartender that I know in life. I want to hear all the bartenders that are Republicans react to them calling bartenders disgusting, because they really do make fun of her. Like, go back to being a bartender, idiot, or whatever.
Right. I mean, whatever. But I mean, people. I mean, that to me is just part of the human condition. I mean, everybody wants to to fight, and people feed on rage. I mean, that's a thing, but
it's hard for the left too. Like, let's say you're like black in America, for example, and you have to hear all these racist jokes, and then they're like, if a black person talks intelligently about something, then people say like, oh well, they're talking down or they're being uppity. They'll use those kinds of words, and then Trump will be super insulting of tons of people, but the people that support Trump, they're not the target of his insults, so they're okay with it. So it's really hard, because a lot of the times when people get offended by liberals or whatever, it's because they don't want to be wrong, And if someone is trying to prove them wrong about something or fact check them, they inherently are going to feel like, okay, okay, this person's being condescending. I don't feel too good. I don't understand all this stuff. Why are they attacking me? Why are they rapping like Eminem right now and talking really fast? It's like, okay, I understand that for sure. But it's also, if you're going to believe like Elon Musk is a prodigy Tony Stark figure like many of them do, and he's just saying like, I think the woke mind virus is killing civilization, and we need to make sure that Doge comes in and fixes the foundations of our tech. I am a technologist. I build, and he never built a thing in his life. And it's just like, you see Elon Musk talk like 10 years ago. He spoke a lot like a liberal would speak, much more intelligently. Now he sounds like a dumbass because he knows his audience. So it's like, how do we combine? I think Obama probably spoke in a way that combines like, talking straight to people and being really like policy oriented. So it's a hard balance. I'd probably say like a mix between like Bernie and I don't know. I want more compassion in politics, but it just happens that the most compassionate politics fall into the group that you just said.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would definitely want more compassion in politics and stuff, because it gets exhausting just listening to all the fucking name calling, the back and forth chatter, and there's like children and the fucking.
But I feel like people are offended by that, though. They're offended by compassion because compassion pulls people. Being compassionate will ask people to be better versions of themselves, so they feel attacked. Meanwhile, Trump is like, "Hey, you could be a shitty asshole. Like, fuck it. Like, we're having a good time, boys. We can say the bad words again. We can say the bad words again, guys." That's kind of how Trump is. He's like he's the cool parent that lets you play Call of Duty on the weekends when you're 10.
Right, but I mean that's pretty much every American, or most.
I know, but it's like that's how I was when I was going between like my my freaking when I was going between houses and custody battles. That's how I was when I was going, when I was like 12. I just wish we could have more mature conversations about this stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is exhausting, and it's even like the trans stuff, the transgender stuff. Dude, like most people that I know don't even care. Like the whole world doesn't even care. Like, be trans, be whatever you want to be. Just stop, shut up, and shoving it down our throats.
Okay, but that's an issue. See, when you say shoving it down our throats, Republicans post about trans issues around 50 times more than trans people do. Republicans force it to be a conversation to divide people. Republicans do it, though, and trans people get blamed. Another thing Republicans do to blame other people. Republicans caused this issue. They caused the racial division. They blame Obama for racism. They blame trans people for being anti-trans. They blame all these groups from the Republicans are propagandizing America to be like this. It's not Democrats, but Democrats are too wordy and academic to participate in the propaganda battle or to go on Joe Rogan because they really do care about the facts. And Joe Rogan believes the polio vaccine is a biochemical weapon when it's one of the best inventions in human history. So like we need someone who understands that, but can also, and I think Bernie is an example of someone, but he's like 95 years old now. So we need like a younger version of someone that could just do straight talk and be really approachable with these things. So.
Right. But and I agree, but I feel like that comes from both sides, though. I mean, because it's up for debate. Like the whole.
That's what she said.
Because I mean, just like looking at the some of the activists and stuff that have been around Eugene, Oregon, and to Newport, Oregon, and some of the other places and stuff like that. It's like, why are you jumping on my car, smashing my window out when I agree with you? It's like, I'm tired of this. I just want to go to work. Leave me alone.
That's a little bit difficult because those people are literally just there to cause chaos. Even in Minneapolis, they charge people for crimes for burning down buildings and police precincts, and they ended up not being right wingers, like Boogaloo Boys, like revolutionaries who just want to cause like race war. Not even the protesters were causing a lot of these fires. So especially in Oregon, I know you got a lot of those guys up there in Oregon. Like up there is definitely crazy as shit with Boogaloo Boys and some. That's probably the only place in the country with actual people who would consider themselves to be Antifa, because that's not even like a real thing in most of the world, except there. So you live in the best place for all this stuff.
Right. Yeah. And it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, and it's cost me. It's cost a lot of people that I know and stuff. I mean, we are in a fucking crisis. I mean, like we as a society, we all need to learn to communicate. Really together. We have to get on each other's level. We have to feel that empathy. We need it in the worst way, because we are all becoming like psychosociopaths, with.
Someone donated PayPal or Venmo. Thank you so much for the donation. Initials KM. Thank you so much for the donation. It says Jolah for Congress, not a campaign contribution. See, that's good. You're paying attention to the legality. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. It's just how I kind of wanted to, to call you, perhaps to get a bit of insight and some education.
No, thank you for the call. And I will say, just like, I definitely understand. I have advocated for a long time for people on the left to talk in different ways that'll be more be received more by people. But I also need to say that, we need to be able to have some, at least really tough convos and things that make people uncomfortable, because that's why politicians lie, because they know they can get away with it if they just say a bunch of like generalities and point blame at whatever group or blame another politician or just make us fight each other. It's because if they talk about the policies, they're going to be laughed out the room because they're going to seem like a little dork that is a dumb YouTuber. They're going to talk too fast. They're going to be come off as unpleasant. That's why politicians, just like the old thing, go kiss the baby, smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave.
Right, and that could be said for like dude like Ben Shapiro too. It's like dude, calm down. Make if you want to make a point, then slow down so people can understand you. And I got to say the same for you too. Slow down. Because that will help educate the people that are lesser than you.
If my goal is to educate, I do. Lesser than me, holy shit. No, if my goal is to educate, I usually do slow down. But I'm in an extremely bad mood today.
Fair enough. But it's just like. I just think we all need to come to an understanding. It's like socialism.
There's a good video in my class. I have a video on my channel. A video called it's like Conversations. Where is it? I think it's called Conversations Like This Will Save America. It only has 300 views, but that's a good example of an hour-long conversation with someone from the Deep South, talking about religion and race issues, where it's a really good conversation. But it's like, it is hard because I'm talking about real shit that's affecting real people around me. So, if you get any type of passionate about things in today's era, it's a sign of emasculine characteristics, because people want to have the stern face in their look because they think it's all macho to not have emotions. Although hiding emotions is the biggest sign you can't handle emotions. And like someone like Trump is the most insecure, pathetic little baby lotion hand up, whatever, in the world. There are some really good videos, and that's probably a symptom too, right? Because my videos that are very good, that are very really gentle conversations about real shit, they don't get views. They just don't get views. My videos that say like, do I regret my vote for Kamala Harris? 2,000 views. Conversations Like This Will Save America? 300 views, back to back. And it's just like it's just what the media atmosphere encourages. Thank you for the call, though. I do really appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, no problem, man. Maybe we'll talk to you again in the future, but. I just wanted some insight on some of my views, that I have here, and just things that I've witnessed around the world, because I've witnessed some pretty gnarly atrocities. From a guy getting killed in Dublin, California, which is right outside of Oakland. He was shot in the back and stuff. I've been called a racist in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, because I wouldn't give a guy $1 and stuff. There's been things in my life that I've noticed around me and stuff, and that's what's made me the person that I am today and stuff. And I'm very, like, I guess personality types. I'm kind of passive, just let it go. I got other things to worry about in my life, and I just don't want all the bullshit. You know what I mean? And I could probably say that for a lot of other people too. And just the things that I've seen, like through media and so on and so forth, it's just like I feel like my head has been raped, by shit that shouldn't matter. When there's bigger problems. It's like the housing crisis. And where we are with that. It could be a Republican problem or a Democratic problem, but that needs to be solved. When you're looking at a 1977 double wide trailer on a 50 by 100 lot for $500,000, that's a fucking problem.
That's a deal.
Yeah, it's a deal. You're looking at a single wide mobile home in a park for $200,000-$300,000. What is going on? That's disgusting. It needs to end. It needs to stop. The Democrats, the Republicans need to pull together and say, hey, we're killing our fucking citizens.
Steve, that's the big issue, though, is that I'm not a communist or a socialist, okay? Or I'm not even that far left, but it is an issue with capitalism. That is a capitalism thing. Capitalism does not... That's why when people say, like, run the government like a business, why would I want to run the government like a business? We made the government because businesses and private entities don't care for people. They care about money. They care about profits. They care about growing. And when we talk about government, we protect veterans. It would not make sense for a private business to protect veterans, to protect old people, to protect those with disabilities. We have government to protect rights. That would not make sense for the free market to handle. And that's the same for small towns. Small towns are not efficient unless if you're farming, unless if you're doing something really niche that's needed for society. Small towns are very inefficient. Big cities are efficient. And if people make money from big cities, if people make money from industries, or from a job in government, whatever it might be, they want to live in suburbs. So then we end up having big cities and suburbs that are really expensive. The rural areas die out, and there's no jobs in those areas because the economy doesn't favor those areas. And right now, Medicaid and Medicare is a reason there's even rural hospitals, because without Medicaid and Medicare, patients being able to go to rural hospitals, those hospitals would not be able to sustain. And we actually have a lot of issues with rural areas not having hospitals, not having enough grocery stores, having really high prices. And the government needs to force companies to move there or incentivize them with taxpayer dollars. Or, like I said, have Medicaid, Medicare patients go there so they could actually justify having a hospital in a rural area. Capitalism, free markets do not care about people. Business owners want to pay you as little as possible and make as much money. Businesses don't just give you money for funsies. And so running the government like a business would only benefit the people at the top, because a business does not respect anything except the bottom line. And the bottom line is not going to include people in this country who are really struggling. Because it doesn't make sense for profits, and people need to reckon with that. And that's not saying capitalism's evil. It's a feature of capitalism. So we need to build something outside of that to facilitate capitalism, which is essentially what liberalism. And by liberalism, I mean just like a government like we have with basic regulations and a welfare state and some type of like social support. That's why we have these things to support the weakest among us. So we have a safety net for when capitalism decides to throw us to the side and spit us out like we're trash after we made the business owners a bunch of money. And see, like that message right there that I just said is probably, better than our entire conversation.
Right.
Thank you, Carly, for becoming a member. Thank you, Carly. Carly agrees. Thank you guys for all the donations and memberships and super chats. Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, Venmo as well, or on Coffee. So thank you guys so much for the support.
Right. So, but basically what I'm saying is it needs to be figured out, and I think that like the issues of certain issues just need to go away, because we need to focus on some bigger issues and stuff like the whole transgender thing. I just wish people would just shut the fuck up about it. Just let people live their lives and stuff, and stop forcing it over our media, and everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, and stuff like that. I think it's appalling. Like the whole gay pride parades and shit where they got dildos flying on flags and crap. That's a presentation to our children. Which
I've seen gay parades and they have not had dildos flying out at kids. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what kind of parties you go to, man. You must be at different parties than me.
Yeah, you've never been to Portland, Oregon, because there's a billboard that says "Keep Portland Weird," as you come into Portland.
Yeah, well, I have neo-Nazis too, and I have neo-Nazis marching through a town next to me. So
yeah, I think.
Hey man, I don't know what's worse: the gays, some radical gays with like skimpy outfits, or neo-Nazis. I'd probably pick the gays, to be honest.
The thing about it, I think that whole neo-Nazi thing is kind of out the window a long time ago. Kind of, at the end.
That's
of the
old
80s.
news.
That's because it is old news and stuff, and I mean, Portland is a very diverse place and stuff like that, but it's very open. I mean, there's more sex shops, glory holes in Portland than you could fucking shake a stick at. I mean, it's a gross place. Portland is disgusting. I mean, it is very gross and stuff. I mean, they have more strip clubs per capita than any other city in the
I will just point out that no one talked about trans issues. I said pronouns, but you talked about trans issues many times during this conversation. I think you might need to detox from the trans media that the right wing is making you be mad about. Okay, I actually need to go. I'm just gonna poison the well and
mad.
leave.
Okay, I'm not mad that people want to be trans. I'm mad because I have to see it all the time.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, I'm not mad that there's black people and biracial couples. I'm mad that I have to see the blacks all the time. It just sounds the same. It just comes across, and it is the same, to be honest. It's not any different.
Well, no,
I
mean, I can
black
go on
somewhere
that one
else.
Too. It's like, no, I don't care what people are.
They could be thugs somewhere else, dude. These thugs and
yeah,
DEI friends.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying. This is what you're doing. Now you're putting words in my mouth. You're putting thoughts in my head.
I'm just saying what you said, but with black people instead of trans people.
Yeah, I understand what you're doing, but what I'm saying and that I'm tired of is I'm tired of of that being a pressing issue.
Yeah, but that's the Republicans bringing it up again. Yell at them. Don't yell at trans people.
Well, I'm not yelling
like,
at
screw
trans
you
people.
guys.
See, you are saying that I'm yelling at trans people, and I'm not. And see, this is the problem that I'm having with communication. Is you're telling me that I'm doing something I am not doing, and people, I'm fucking tired of that shit. Because I'm not a racist. I don't care whether you're gay.
Well,
you're trans,
okay.
Like
you don't gotta tell us you're not racist or not. Like, just stop talking about it. It's fine. It's chill.
Well, you basically just
please
said
believe
that I
me.
had a
I am
problem.
not racist. No, I'm just saying when you say I don't want to see that shit anymore. You literally complain about gay parades and like the reason and it's already such a small percent of the population. You could find anyone from any group to have as the worst example.
Are you a father? Are you a parent?
Well, only for the callers that try to talk to me, yeah, but not anyone else.
Say what?
Only for my callers,
no,
only for my viewers.
You're a parent only for your viewers.
Yeah.
So you can't. You lack capacity. Well, you're telling me you lack capacity to empathize with me because I have kids, and when I'm driving to work or I'm driving through town and stuff like that, and there's like people with like doing very risque things on the side of the road and stuff, and that's okay for my kids to see, and I shouldn't have a problem with that. I don't care what you do, what you are. Like I don't care what you are. You could be trans, you could be black, you could be whatever you want.
Yeah, but like I'll be honest. You know what a banana hammock is?
Yes, I'm aware of a banana hammock.
Hey man, I see a lot of if I go to a water park, there's a lot of old white guys with banana hammocks. I think it's kind of messed up.
Right, I understand that, but what you're not.
But anyways, someone donated and said, "Do you have any trans friends?"
Actually, I do. Actually, I do. Yes.
There's your answer. Thank you for the $10 Jolah fan account. Thank you.
But my trans friends will also say the same thing as I'm saying. It doesn't need to be presented.
Well, yeah, but we wouldn't just say like the thing is if we have like trans people who make up like less than 1% of our population, and we have like if we have even like a smaller percentage who are going to pride parades and doing really crazy stuff in Oregon or Portland, wherever, then I wouldn't just like bring that up as my main thing that I'm upset hearing about, because that's the right wing exploding that problem. Because I can say the same amount of people that I know who are literal skinheads and support Trump, and they don't shut up about race issues, and they blame Obama for racism. So it's just like, bringing that up all the time, it just seems like an insecure point, or it seems like something that makes someone really mad about something. Someone says legitimately need the banana hammock. Ban the banana hammock. You want to ban the banana hammock? I should have run on that. Ban banana hammocks.
Right. And no, what I'm saying is, I think there's like through our media and stuff, I think there's more, and this is for the Republicans too, and the Democrats on both sides all together. I think there's more pressing issues and stuff that need to be worried about than what is going on with 1% of our population. I think the general people, the population, just need to leave other people alone and stuff. I don't care whether or not you're gay, trans, I don't care what you are. I don't. I have no feeling against you. I'm not prejudiced in any way towards people. But the thing I am prejudiced against is like this brainwashing media, that is like, just pounding it. I mean, it's like you're a rape victim, from what they do and the things that the media gets fixated on and stuff. And it's like there's wars going on in the world, and you want to talk about transgenderism and stuff. It's like we need to talk about real issues. I mean, there's a housing crisis and stuff. Things are expensive. You need to knock this out, so we can
that's what I said
live,
about like
because the transgender people can't afford a house just as much as I can.
Yeah, that's what I said about Trump's State of the Union speech, because Trump went on about trans people for like 50% of it, and the other parts he was talking about like DEI and Joe Biden, and like 5% of it was the kid with cancer. But most of it was just shitting on trans people. It's like he did not mention housing once. He did not mention healthcare once. He did not mention the economy once, except saying I'm amazing. And it's like, yeah, that's an issue.
Right. Well, you got the the far right wing media too, like the View, for instance. That would just go on tangents and stuff, and just on and on and on about that. I mean, these are things that the average person watches. The average people watch every day. and stuff. And it's like, how do we get it through these people's heads that's the least pressing issue that we have in our country or in the world, for instance, and stuff. I mean,
vote out politicians that only talk about that and don't actually solve things. Really.
I agree. Yes, let's vote out that shit for sure. So, and to be real with you, I didn't vote for Harris or Trump at all and stuff. I voted for somebody else. And
you
stuff,
voted for
like
Oliver Chase. No, wait, Chase Oliver. You voted for Bill Stein. I don't know.
And I don't even know much about him, but I don't really like Trump. I didn't really like Biden because what I did see of Biden and stuff is like, to me, he was a blithering idiot and stuff, and that's what I got. I mean, just a personal
at least he's
view
a young,
of what
healthy
I got.
man.
At least he's a young, healthy man, fair enough, and stuff. But it's like, why would we elect that? And why isn't there, more people, trying to get in? What? It's like, why is this, the dish that we're served? Why is it only these few people? There's so many other people that, want to be candidates and so on and so forth. Like, why is this what we're bringing to it?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll see if anything ever changes. I don't have much hope. But yeah, thank you for the call. I hope you call in again. I'm going to go to bed. I got to travel tomorrow. I got to drive like 5 hours. But yeah, thank you for the call. Have a great night.
All right, you too, man.
For joining us. All right, thank you. You too. Good one. Okay, guys. Thank you for the membership. Cheese Wizard. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Cheese. I don't know if you were before. I feel like you were. Thank you, Carly and Cheese. And Sri for the one gifted. Sri, I missed that. Hector to help the algorithm. We ended up having more of a viewership near the end. It got better. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows, dude? He did say transgenderism, so that's a good thing. That's positive. Okay, thank you for liking, subscribing, following, donating, all that kind of stuff. I will be not streaming in this capacity for a few days. I will be traveling pretty much until Wednesday. So this is my final stream doing this call-in show until Wednesday. Maybe it'll give time for my channel to reset, and I can come back and get some better algorithm luck. Coasties don't drive 5 hours for anything. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I have to drive over a mountain to get where I'm going and through tunnels and stuff. So going over the Appalachian Mountains, whatever. That's crazy. I really don't like Riley Gaines, bro. Riley Gaines is really annoying. Holy crap. He's so annoying. Jesus. Okay. Thank you. Does the algo reward consistent streams that are 3+ hours? No, they don't. Because if they did, then my stream would be doing a lot better. Because I was streaming for 4 or usually you can usually tell if it's gonna be a good night within an hour. Within 1 hour, you'll get a peak, and then you'll stay around that peak for a while. So if I peak to 200, I'll stay at 200. If I peak at 400, it'll stay there. But channels in general are growing pretty slow right now. I feel like YouTube is throttling a lot of political content. I'll try to keep everyone updated to some extent, but if I do a phone stream or a TikTok stream, I'll try to post something. I'll probably just try to make YouTube shorts as much as possible. I might take a microphone and record videos if anything big happens. Probably not. I don't know. No one watches my videos. Thank you guys. Good night. Have a good one. You guys Wednesday. See you guys on Wednesday night, okay? Make sure you join the Discord. Come in for a conversation. Thank you to all new subscribers. We're growing steady. Blowing steady wins the race. It really is hard getting over. If someone is very insecure about not knowing things, it really is hard to present that issue in a way that's going to be. It really is like, oh, I don't know that. I don't like this person because they said something good. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn, for $10. Thank you. Thank you. Be safe. I'll try. I'll try to be safe. Maybe. I'll think about it. I'll consider being safe. Thank you. The mods. Thank you, mods. Thank you. I think it's only Cam tonight. Are there other mods here? I know Epoch was here. I saw Epoch. Forget. Adam, Clean. That's McSree. There's Epoch. Right wingers are. Yeah, they don't want to talk about it because, yeah. Misgendering is a hate crime. Wow. Token gestures to placate the masses. That's the thing, though. Like, you need to do token gestures to placate the masses, or you can't get anything done. Don't die. It's super important. Did you see that Trump has a revolutionary program to get people to stop doing drugs? And that plan is to do advertisements that talk about how drugs are bad. Don't America drugs anymore. It's called Dare. Trump is doing Dare again, but with more funding. And he's going to sell all the ads to Fox News. That's how we're going to stop drugs in America. Thank you, Trump. Novel idea. Brand new. Starting, yeah. Thank you, Trump. Okay. Drop a like. Subscribe. Thank you guys for following. See you guys again in a few days. Lots of protests. Yeah, see you guys again on Wednesday. Wednesday. Unless if I do a random... Yeah, Trump created Dare again. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. I'm colorblind. I can't see race. Duh. People that see race, they're actually racist. They're the racist ones. Okay. Pretty bad idea, not gonna lie. Yeah, he's gonna spend taxpayer dollars on that bullshit. Crazy. See, even... It's wild. Hopping between streams. Yeah, I see Epoch. I saw Epoch. I always see Epoch in the chat making people mad. I love it. Especially when the topic of like anything to do with gender or race comes up, I see Epoch making people super mad in the chat. And they get triggered. They really do. Thank you, Rita. Thank you for the $10. Thank you on Cash App. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, be safe. I'll try. I will consider, like I said before, the more donations I get, the Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal, the more I consider being safe. The more I'll consider it. Not campaign contribution. That's hilarious. Okay, guys. Thank you for all the support. Trump has lowered fentanyl. How would I know? Ugh. I mean, fentanyl was coming through legal ports of entry from American citizens mostly, so I don't even know what the numbers are. The fentanyl was, under Biden, we had the biggest decrease in fentanyl of all time, I'm pretty sure, under the last 6 months of his presidency. So it was already decreasing. I don't know what Trump is actually going to do to help addiction in America. That's a whole other conversation. Okay. Just asking questions. That's how you get them mad. You just ask questions. If you ask questions, you know, they have to start thinking, bro. And yeah, if you make them think, they get mad. Like if you make them think about something deep, they get real pissed. Like the guy said multiple times, he was RAPED because of the news. He said it feels like I'm getting RAPED'd. It feels like I'm getting sexually assaulted because I'm being forced to think about these tough topics. He literally said that. And it's like, okay, like you might have to How can I call someone soft? You say I'm not soft, and then it's like, dude, if I even hear about racism or race, I'm gonna cry. I don't know. I don't know how to deal with that. Thank you guys. Have a good night. For starters, he closed the border, dumbass. You don't even know what that. Oh god. Late. There, I got it out of the way. Should be good till Wednesday. Shut up. When they need to actually articulate it. Yeah, and then they get more mad. If they say it out loud and you prove them wrong, then they get real mad, bro. They get real mad after that. If they say it out loud and it's like, hey, what you said was like completely wrong, they get pissed. They'd rather be wrong and crash your relationship with them rather than just admit that they're wrong. I don't know. Okay, see you guys Wednesday. Have a good night. Thank you again. Yes, like Cam said, thank you for supporting independent media, guys. Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one. Also, one more thing. I know I keep on saying that. Last thing I'll say, there's a lot of people that watch this channel who are tapped out from politics. Even like the main people over the past few months that were here for every single stream, they just don't like watch. anymore. So we do have that issue too, where we don't have like a huge like consistent viewer base other than you guys. We'll see. We'll gather more troops. It comes in waves too. People want to take breaks from talking about politics. I understand it. You can't talk about politics 24/7 like me. I understand taking breaks. Everyone takes breaks with their media consumption and tries different things. I get it. Okay, have a good night, guys. Thank you.